What's happening? What is going on, people? Sorry for the delay. My apologies is to you. Yeah, man, having to do a couple things last minute, run around a little bit, but I was able to make it back in somewhat good time. Sorry about that. I really and I couldn't figure out how to get the app to work on my phone where I was to change the time for the show by like 10 minutes or so, give a little bit more of a grace period, but it is what it is. Hopefully you guys are doing good. Happy Saturday. Thankful to be alive. Thankful to be here to see, another day and chop it up and talk about our Knicks. A cup of the got the Merry Grinchmas cup. Whew. That's good stuff. Um Hopefully y'all doing all right. I see Canal Banlaya in the building. Pudge Nice, what's good? Big task at hand. Good to see you. Appreciate y'all, man. Thank you for tuning in as always. Um yeah, man, this is we're at that point where things are starting to get good right now. We're going into the second round of the NBA playoffs, so you know what that means. Basketball is starting to really cook. Now we're getting those matchups that we've been looking for. Like, oh man, I can't wait. Uh, C Mac, you hilarious, bro. Yeah. Oh man, I wish. Yeah. I really need to have some family ties or connections to somebody, some NBA player. Um, I could get them on and chop it up a little bit so we could talk about basketball, but unfortunately, it hasn't happened yet. I don't know who it is. Um, what's going on, White Falcon? I see you, Geraldine McIver. Good to see you. Yeah, uh, you brought it back for old time's sake. Hey, man, listen. I don't know. I don't know. I guess anything could be on the table with regards to that team and what they got going on over there. Uh, and PG-13 showed me a lot when he came back and played pretty damn well, considering how much time he missed. Uh, I don't know. It's interesting. We'll see. We'll see. The Donovan stuff is it is what it is, man. We'll chop it up once again. I just thought that with everything that's going on right now, I think he's got a lot of questions to answer, and I think people are looking to him. And I know he doesn't want to deal with any of it right now. He just kind of just lost, still trying to take it all in. Think about his future, and plus, for a player in his position, it's tough. You've been somewhere for quite some time since you came into the league, and you made your roots there. I don't know. Who knows what he's gonna do or what he wants to do actually, but we'll get into it. Um, and I tell you, I was just thinking about last night's game because Minnesota is, they played pretty good, man. They had a lot of fight. Jaden McDaniels was really big for them. It's interesting to watch these young guys step up and do do things for their teams when they're in these tough positions, these playoff atmospheres. Another guy who I was really impressed with last night was Brandon Clark. So from Memphis, these are the type of guys that you look at and hopefully you say, just store that in your mental Rolodex. Hopefully the Knicks look at these type of guys like, oh, okay, we need, smart IQ players, guys who can and step up and show they have that that thing, that intestinal thing that clicks on, that light that clicks on when it's time to go. And those young guys, they got it. They got it. So you hope we got some of that on the Knicks currently, but if we can't get it, those are the type of guys you got to look at. Look at these other teams and see, oh, who is these guys that step up for these teams in clutch moments? How can we pinpoint them? Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, I know, Geraldine. That is Tibbs' old team, but I'm not going to give him credit for who they are now. Uh, you know, they got a little dog in them on defense that Tibbs didn't provide. Like, I think Patrick Beverly has a lot to do with that over there. So we'll see. What's up, King Ribby? Good to see you. Salute. Yeah, I mean, it's all pretty interesting, and you know, it's right now it's all like, how do the Knicks value talent like that? How do they look at these other pieces on teams, like these role players? You know, because I think honestly, the team is going to be better than what we have seen, and I think a couple changes here, you know, role players that you flip flop might make a big difference. And of course, if you can bring in another talented player, yeah, why not? That would definitely make a difference too. But I also think the role players make. I mean, just don't forget who we had out there uh, in Burks and a couple other players, especially when they're playing out of their position. What we noticed from them, and then look at what we didn't have out there with no Derrick Rose for a lot of the season and no Nerlens Noel. Um, no Kimba, really. I mean, we had him for a little bit, but you saw that that was just a bad move. Like, think of if those three players had been Brandon Clark and not Jaden McDaniels, I don't know, but whatever. Like, just think if they were different type role players, how much better the team could have been. Just saying. Yeah, it's definitely something to think about, guys. Well, let's hit the intro and we'll chop it up and talk about what's going on with these here New York Knickerbockers right after this. Man, that's good coffee. If I haven't said it already, guys, if you don't know, um, I'm a New York Giant fan, and I'm on cloud nine right now. The first day of the NFL draft, the first round was, mwah, it was beautiful. Can't be any better for me. Um, Yesterday's draft day was a little different. There's some guys that a lot of people don't know too much about, so we're going to trust the front office and the organization that they pick the right guys, and we'll see what that turns out to be. But I'm trusting in this new regime because why not? They haven't done anything to show me I shouldn't trust them, so I'm going to trust them. They've already nailed it and hit it out the park with those first two picks. And so I'm hoping that these other guys fit into the schemes that they're trying to use them in. And I'm really excited about my New York Giants. These colors. I'm also a New York Met fan. And let me tell you something. I can't be mad about what I'm seeing in Flushing right now. So right now, for me, man, this is tough because I've struggled. I'm a Knicks fan, a Giant fan, and a Met fan. We've had some dark days, but things are looking up. Things are looking promising. And maybe the Knicks can turn it around too. I'm hoping for the best. I'm hoping for the best. That's all I can do. Anyway, let's see. Oh, look at that. Jay Boogie in the building. What's going on, Jay Boogie? Always good to see you, brother. Salute, salute, salute with the 3 capital S's. Let's see here. Yeah, Big Blue Wrecking Crew. You said it, Big Task. That's right. Yeah, I agree, Geraldine. They had a great first round. Well, C-Mac, I'll tell you one thing. When I watched Wandale's highlights, I seen him before, but he was nothing, just another player. And I don't watch a lot of college football, so I'm not up on all these guys. But I mean, in the highlights, you see the dude is explosive. He's small, but I think they had a plan to use him. Let's not forget. Let's think about who's running the Giants. And I'm not trying to get too far away from Nick talk, guys, but I love the Giants. And at one point I was gonna make a Giant channel. So just let me have my moment. Wandale looks like just that type of scat type of guy that they can use to put in the backfield. They can run handoffs with him. They can do short passes. He's one of those guys that I think it shows that the Giants are trying to put people around Daniel Jones that in short yardage situations can get those short yards and maybe get more out of it, more yards after catch, a little more yak, if you will. And so that's why I think they made that move. Plus, the dynamic duo of having Kadarius Toney and Wandale Robinson is pretty interesting. It's tough to guard. They're both smaller type players, both elusive, both strong. Obviously, Kadarius Toney is stronger, but they're both strong players. So it's interesting. It kind of reminds me, one, of what the Bills tried to do a couple years ago before they were able to luck up and get the talent they got at wide receiver and stuff. And it also kind of shows me a little bit of because we also have the front office staff, well, not front office staff, the coaching staff from the Kansas City Chiefs. I forgot his name already, but and we know what the Chiefs like to do there, and they had 2 small wide receivers over there. One, obviously, I mean, come on, the best in the league. So the small wide receiver thing is something that makes sense for them, what they're trying to do. Also, I saw when the Bears actually had a decent offense, they used to use a running backs, wide receiver / small running back over there in a lot of sets. He wasn't every down back, and he was very explosive. So I see the blueprint. I see what they're trying to do. It's just some people might think it's a reach because it's too early. We'll see. Let's go Mets. That's right, Pudge Nice. That's right. You know what I mean? Them Yankees are doing kudos to the Yanks. They've turned it around. They actually are looking real good now. They're clicking. They got their hitting going. Their pitching is surprisingly top 5 in baseball right now. Go Yankees. I mean, the pitching ain't better than the Mets, but it is what it is. I digress. And the Mets still have the best record in baseball right now. Let's go. Let's go. But whatever. And our Mets threw a combined no last night, man. And that's special, man. It's not easy to throw a no-hitter. And to do it with multiple pitches is pretty damn tough. So, yeah. All right. Back to the Knicks. Yeah, so Big Tess said the first round was amazing. That's right, Jay Boogie. Jets and Giants had a good first round. Yes, the Jets had an incredible first round. Jets have had a really good draft. I hope it turns out to be something because the Jets have had good drafts in the past, and actually, it did turn out to work in their favor. Jets had a nice run in past years, and then it flamed out for them. But I want all New York teams to play good. I just want my New York teams to play better. Yeah, the Jets pick was nice. But you know what? And I think honestly, I'm not sure what would have happened because if Sauce was there when the Giants picked. I don't know. Maybe the Giants would have took him because he's a good player. Let's see. Tat Face, what's good? Salute to you. Fabian Williams, salute to you as well. So I will do a sign and trade with Utah, Robinson, Randall, 2 first rounds this year, next year, and we get Rudy and Donovan. Interesting. Let me put that in there. Yeah, that's interesting. Now, the only thing is, I don't know if you can even do that because I'm starting to realize there's some trade restrictions on sign and trade stuff, and then combining certain players. So I don't even know if you could do that with Robinson and with Randall together. I'm not sure, but interesting. 2 first rounds this year and next. Well, and then the other thing is we could only do. Well, no, we could give them our first round pick this year and our Dallas first round pick next year. What? Hold on, I didn't even read this right. I'm bugging. You said what? And we get Rudy and Donovan? No way. What? I can't even believe I missed that. No way, bro. You lucky. I'm thinking you trying to do this and get Donovan. You can't get Rudy and Donovan. No way. I don't know how I missed that. I'm sorry, Tap Face. I like the idea, but that's too. You ain't getting both those guys. And the other thing is, I don't know how much say he has. If he has a no trade clause, probably doesn't. But if it's up to Donovan, I don't think he wants to be traded where Rudy's going, or wants Rudy in the package with him. He's trying to get away from Rudy. If Donovan's leaving, he's getting away from Rudy. They've had too many issues. Rudy says, I don't know his deal, but Rudy says some stupid stuff in the past. Rudy's got a big mouth. Maybe it's a European thing. They're a little bit more vocal and they don't think too much of it, but I don't know. I think that it's either going to work, or if it doesn't work, it's because Donovan wants to get away from Rudy and that mix. So yeah, I don't know about that. Let's see. We need a small forward, unless Randall plays small forward and Obi plays power forward. I agree, but our small forward might be RJ. Like, he might be that guy now. I mean, he played the position basically all season. And apparently he grew a little bit, so he's around 6'8". He's like 6'7.5", 6'8", if that's the case. He might be that guy, because the other thing is, you're saying that I know what you're saying, like we might need extra talent and someone better at the position, if you think about it. But that would mean RJ would go back to playing the 2, and I don't even know if that's in the cards for him, the way this Knicks team is put together. You know, RJ might stay at the 3, and then maybe we see Cam Reddish get inserted into the starting lineup at the 2. That would be a difference. It's okay. It's okay, Geraldine. You know, it's all right. It's fine. You can big up your Yankees. It's all right. Let me get my man in here. Jay Boogie, what's going on?
Hey, yo, blessings and blessings. Good late Saturday morning. I needed to come on before the top of the noon get here. You know what I'm saying? And shout you out, man. Appreciate you coming on. You entertain us this Saturday as you do every weekend as usual. Shout out to the chats. Yo, big up to the Islanders, man. The good hockey team. Big up to the Rangers, man. You know what I'm saying? And big up to, you know what I'm saying, to the Knicks. You know, I love and franchise, you know what I'm saying? And big up to the, you know, to the New York Giants. And big up to the New York Jets, man. And big up to the New York Yankees, man. And big up to the New York Mets, man. and bing down the New Jersey Nets, man. Bing them down, man.
I knew you couldn't wait to throw that in there, man. I knew you
Yeah,
couldn't
man.
wait to throw that in there.
Yeah. Shout out to all the New York teams, man. You know what I'm saying? Doing what they doing what they could do, you know what I'm saying? And we look for a great season in all the sports that's going on now and the great sports that's to be coming, man. You know what I'm saying? And shout out to the greatest people in the world, the loyalest people in the chat, man. How you feeling, my brother?
I can't complain, man. You know, it's another Saturday. It's beautiful outside over here. See, in your neck of the woods, it's probably nice a lot more than it is in my neck of the woods. But today, it's nice out here.
It's a great day here because it's cloudy. That beam ain't out. You know what I'm saying? That beam is out, man. It's hot. Yeah.
I could imagine. Over here, I think we might hit like high 60s and it's sunny, so we'll take it. I'll take it.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna send a request, you know what I'm saying? I don't know what his schedule is like, but I'm gonna send a request out, you know what I'm saying, to it's two of y'all that go on and put the R in front of the on and the J before the on, and then it's Ron and John, and they go on and on. I'm sending a request out, you know what I'm saying. Next Saturday, I'm gonna come up here, man. I'm trying to get on the floor with Mr. You know what I'm saying, John. I haven't been there yet, man.
Yeah, no, I hear you, man. You know what? We definitely need to get you, man, because it's you know, it's been a long time coming, man. John, you know, he been real busy on these weekends with the fam doing a lot of kitty stuff. I get it. He'll be back on one of these days, and maybe we can get you on one of our Monday night shows, because now that we get into the off season, we try to interview more people and just chop it up. It'll be me, John, and you know, we'll bring somebody on and just chop it up.
Right, man. You know where I'm at. I ain't nothing but a few digits away. Hit me up, call, text, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Anything I can, you know what I'm saying, do, you know, to provide, you know, for our loving fan base and you all guys, I'm there, man. You know what I'm saying? That's where my love is at. That's where my heart is at. This is where my entertainment at. I don't go out, you know, too much. You know, I do the simple things when I go out. Grocery store, you know what I'm saying? Go take my baby to school, bring her back to school, or go do a moving job. And besides that, to the studio. If that,
Right.
no, I'm here. Yeah, I ain't got time to be all out there. You know, it's a blissful thing when you can be able to put that key on the outside of your door or that garage key on the outside of your garage and lift up them doors and come back in-house. You know, we gotta start appreciating home a lot more. You work every day, you pay your bills, you know what I'm saying? Enjoy your home. Look around inside your home, everybody in the chat, and see how beautiful your inside look like. Your home, man. Your home, man, is beautiful, man. Because there's a lot of people today that's incarcerated, that's not home, and wish they could be home. So enjoy yourself being at home, man. Home, man.
Facts. Yeah. Jay Boogie always speaking, he's preaching the gospel, man, and it's real stuff. I appreciate you, brother. Always positivity, man. Thank you. As someone who needs it. I love the positivity, bro.
I need it too, man. Sometimes I had to go back and listen to it myself. What do you say?
Yeah, man. Peace to everybody. Salute King Imbert. I see you. D is balling, my brother. What's going on? Good to see you in the chat.
D, what's good, my brother? I gotta reach out and holler at you.
Who else I see? Shot Powers, what's good, bro? Good to see you. And okay, yeah, okay, I got everybody else. All right, yeah, man. So I know you came on real quick last week. I don't even know if I got to ask you what you thought about it, because I know I don't know if I got into the topic. But so what do you think about Donovan? You know, you think, I mean, we've been kind of going back and forth with this. You know, we're a Knicks franchise that's devoid of talent. We're looking for it out there. And then the scenario was that possibly if Donovan got knocked out in the first round and they didn't get too deep in the playoffs, that he'd be looking to get up out of there. What do you think? You think there's some real truth to that right now? And do you think that the Knicks have a chance to possibly get him? Because, you know, the flip side of it is you do see a lot of other people speaking quote unquote facts. Like, why would Donovan leave a Utah team that is there? They may not be able to get over the hump, but why go backwards to a Knicks team that's not even there yet? So what do you think about that, J Book?
Well, one thing is, you know what I'm saying, you're not going backwards if you come to the Knicks. You know what I'm saying? You're a team, he's on a team that's not there and is going away from there. That's one thing. You can come to a team that you can help lead us to where you was at, and then if you're doing your thing, that should be able to bring somebody else with you, point blank, to help us move. I don't look at us going backwards, you know what I'm saying? I still look at us, as taking the steps to try to figure out how to continue on moving forward. But one thing I always say, and what I respect James Harden so much about, James Harden don't play with this thing. When he tell you I want out and I want to get up out of here, then he tell you where you want to go. That's what happens. And my thing is the Donovan, I think he's a little bit confused on what he want to do. I think he's marked in the middle. He want to and he don't want to. But my thing is, don't fake with us. Get like James Harden. You want to come over here, tell them people, Danny, this is where I want to go. Get me up out of here. I don't want to be in Utah. I don't like the salt on my food. None of that. I don't care nothing about the lakes. None of that. You know what I'm saying? Let me get to New York, and that's what I appreciate about James Harden so much. He tell you where you want to go. The thing about it is, if Danny Ainge is over there, he want to rebuild his situation. Ain't nobody going to Utah. So Danny, cut that out. Come on and get some of these draft picks. You know what I'm saying? Let us give you some of these draft picks and let us bring somebody home that can help, us move forward up the ladder, and do what we got to do. But Donovan has to want to come here. Us as the franchise, we're going to do everything we can if he say, I want out. Then we're gonna swing for the fences, The only thing I hope is we can give up anything. But I hope we can keep IQ, RJ, and Obi. That's what I would like. Those are my solid, 3 young ones. Anybody else, I don't really care about. They like spades. I got 3 books, IQ, RJ, and Obi. Everybody else is possible. That's including Julius, all of them. You want to come over here? Let's play spades, man. Come on over here, man. I got something for you, though, man. We ready for it. Whoa, we ready. We want a youngin'. And everybody be trying to, compare. Oh, that's the Melo thing. That's not the Melo thing. Melo came over here to a bunch of old dudes that the office didn't even get rid of to try to bring something around him. You talking about a young guy that's, is just barely reaching his prime to go with these guys right here that's on the verge of getting to know their primes. You know what I'm saying? So that's almost equal numbers. You know what I'm saying? And he's younger than Julius, right? He's younger than Julius.
Yeah,
so
he is.
Hey, I want anything that's going to help the team move forward, man. And that's a step that's not going to take us backwards. You know what I'm saying? He ain't playing all this good, man. Donovan might have been point shaving. He don't even want to be there, but he's scared to say it. And Zion already said, yo, I'm signing that piece of paper. Zion, so let's get that out the way. Zion signing that paper. That 181 5-year, I'm signing that. I ain't playing around. Y'all know I'm injury prone, so get that out the way.
Right. I mean, yeah, I hear you. That's the thing. That's like what you got to think about. I personally feel like I just think Donovan's put up with a lot over there. Like there's certain things that he's not happy about the organization and what they're doing with the community. He's not happy how they're not supporting some of his initiatives that he wants to put forth. He's not happy. He wasn't happy when the whole COVID thing came out and how it all started over there with them and what Rudy Gobert did, playing around, thinking it was a joke and acting like a fool out there.
Yes.
He's not happy. Apparently, latest thing was Rudy Gobert made a comment back in January. And a lot of people in Donovan Mitchell's camp took it as a slight to Donovan Mitchell. And obviously, if they let him know about it, he probably feels it's a slight as well. It's all speculative, but he said, according to ESPN's Tim McMahon, Gobert said, "We know that when the playoffs come, we're not just going to flip a switch and all of a sudden communicate. All of a sudden be able to stay in front of our man. All of a sudden be able to rebound. When I watch some of these other teams like the Suns or the Warriors, for example, those guys are a step ahead of us in terms of winning habits. I feel like they take every game personally." I mean, that's us a something you say about the way your team plays in general, but
Right.
they, they feel that that's a slight towards Donovan because, quite frankly, Donovan's not the greatest defensive player. He gets beat a lot, and he's supposed to be the man over there. So that's how it's perceived in Utahville.
Right. But when it comes to defense, man, you know what I'm saying? It's a lot of teams out there where their best player is trash on D. Steph Curry can't play no D. Damian Lillard can't play no D. But what you got to do, you got to, you got to put guys around that can, help close that situation up.
Mm-hmm.
Melo couldn't play no D. They said that all his career. You know what I'm saying? But you got to close these guys up around with people that can play D. Now, you got some guys that can play lockdown defense. You got some guys that can play thief defense, meaning like playing in lanes and looking for some thief. And you got some guys that play cheat defense. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, Donovan's one of the guys that play cheat defense, faking like he could play some defense. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not looking for Donovan to be all the way a defensive stopper. I'm looking for Donovan to make big time plays when the game is on the line. If I got somebody else that can play some D, you know what I'm saying? That's what I'm looking for, you to help him out, talk to him, be behind him. You know what I'm saying? You know he can't play D, so that shouldn't be a problem to you. That should be a way for you to try to help the situation and pay more attention to him when he playing his man. You know what I'm saying? Or put him on a lesser man, a weaker man. You know, man. But Donovan, just because he got weaknesses in his defense wouldn't stop me from putting him in that Madison Square Garden. Are you crazy?
Oh no, yeah, no, that's not that's not enough to stop me either.
Right.
The only thing I would question with Donovan is, can he continue to work on his game? Because just because he's a good player, an exceptional player, doesn't mean there's certain things he still can't improve on. Like he can still work on certain things, especially his consistency with regards to on the offensive end. There's some nights Donovan don't have it, and and that's going to happen. Any NBA player can have nights like that, but I think he has to figure out better ways to combat that. Like, all right, if my shot's not falling, what can I do here? How can I get to the lane and draw fouls? Also has something to do with the team too, because sometimes when you have a star player, these teams are so dependent on what that player can do out there and how they get it that you forget, like, okay, this player is struggling, so let's run some plays for my star player. Let's get him on back cuts, do different things to get him open, get him good quick looks. Like I think NBA teams they get away from that stuff too much just because the star players showed you how good they are and what they can do and create on their own. When they're not going good, run some plays for these guys, get them some quick, easy looks to get them, open and get them going. Exactly. And I think Donovan needs that, because one thing about Donovan that I noticed is that I mean, and I'm not saying he's still very athletic, but to me, from what I've watched, the little years he's been in the league, I feel like some of his athleticism is a little less now. So if he was at 100%, I think he's more like at 80 now. Because I don't see him with that same explosion. Like he was, Donovan was dunking over cats when he first came in the league. Like, and that's all young players. They get that. They come out the gym, they jumping over everybody. And then they learn how to play ball more, and they take their time and they pick their spots. But also, even when I see him dunk sometimes, he's a little lower to the rim. He's not as above the rim. So, things happen, but he's still very athletic. And I just think that kind of hinders his game a little bit. That athleticism that he had was such at a crazy level. That those first 2 years in the league, this guy, like, he was basically what you see from Anthony Edwards, but I think he was better than Anthony Edwards at that time. So, and I think that kind of, it's still a transition for him. He's got to figure out how to play when he's a little bit, he's still above the rim, but I don't know how to explain it. I can just tell you that when I look at him, I can see that he's not as above the rim as he used to be. So
I understand it. I see that too. I completely see that. From the time when he won the dunk contest and all that, his hops and all that. But to be, honest with you, that's how the good ones become great ones. When they lose something that that's been their bread and butter. You know what I'm saying? You realize how great Michael Jordan was, you know what I'm saying, when he started getting elderly, you know what I'm saying, you start seeing different footworks and all types of different moves. You remember you seen that with Kobe at his athleticism. He followed the same path, you know what I'm saying, pretty much as Mike. So a lot of times when you lose athleticism, you gotta raise your IQ level up even higher, you know what I'm saying? Beat guys out, you know, in different ways, you know, my intelligence as far as the games, you know what I'm saying? So if he increases that, his understanding of the basketball game a lot more, yeah, that'll easily wash away, you know what I'm saying, the losses of his athleticism, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, I do see him he losing out his athleticism a little bit, man. You know, but I just think Donovan needs the right person to be pushing him. You know, the right guard coaches are on the right benches that's talking to some of these guys, you know what I'm saying? Like you look what Jason Kidd, not once, he did it twice. You know, a lot of people don't give Jason Kidd his props on what he did with the Greek, and now what he did with Luka. You know what I'm saying? You know, you got Tyronn Lue. Look what he doing with Reggie Jackson and all that. He gave a different understanding of what the game really is. You know what I'm saying? And then he's surrounded by, you know, a couple of other guys. You know, I think some of these guys need more guard coaches. You know what I'm saying? That can help some of these guys that's playing guards, you know, and the league is missing out on that. I do believe Sam, you know, not jumping on. I believe Sam Cassell gonna want to get a job after the season somewhere. You know, I believe that, you know. So
yeah, I don't doubt that. Sam seems like he's doing all the right things to kind of put him in a position to get looked at and go somewhere. So I don't think you're wrong about that. Let me see. Somebody said something. First off, salute to we surveyed 100 people. It's good to see you. Sherwin M. Good morning. Funny Music said that's where it was. I'm not trading with the Jazz because they have the King Snake Danny Deals. Yeah, Danny Ainge don't play, man. He definitely gonna try to fleece us. He's not as bad as the dude from New Orleans. I always forget his name, but he's definitely gonna look to get his. So yeah, it's tough. I don't know.
You got to pay to play. You know, that's why we didn't get Lonzo Ball. You worried about a small pick, but then you use that same small pick to go get Cam Reddish. You know, you got to play you got to play the play. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna have to give up something if we decide to give away Julius. So you're gonna have to make decisions, you know what I'm saying, to get what you want, you know, and just hope whoever you bring it on, it pan out to be the right person, man. But you're gonna have to spend when you're dealing with cities and places where ain't nobody going nowhere. Their franchises on the verge of just, you know, going down. But Utah, places like Utah, San Antonio, them Denver and all them guys is good for picking. Oklahoma, they have to pick well because nobody is going to sign at these places. They're not going there. They're not going there. They lucked up when they got Timmy and Tony Parker and Manu Ginobili and Kawhi Leonard and all that. They picked them guys, man. And you see what Kawhi said, y'all had enough of this, yo. Everybody else going, let me get up out of here, man. But you got to pick well. So the only way you can pick well, you got to make moves with somebody that has draft picks. And we got them picks. We got them. True. If y'all want to do business. If not, hey, we'll continue on developing, you know what I'm saying, and wait on that 23 crop.
I'm with you on that. That's true. I mean, you do that. You definitely have to pay to play. Will the price be too high? That's a question, but you definitely. I mean, you ain't gonna get nothing if you don't pony up.
Yeah, you're right about that. Price can't be too high. Matter of fact, let me just dream a little bit. What if the price you pay all these prices, you bring Donovan over here to 23? The Joker say the same thing, and bitch say, "Yo, come over here with me, man. You ain't winning nothing in Denver." You know what I'm saying? You don't know what these guys can bring or who they can bring together, but Julius can do that, man. Because I mean, he talked to nobody at the All-Star game. Ain't nobody came with Julius, man. I don't know what happened, man.
And that's the thing. Like that's the other thing. That's the other piece of this whole puzzle. Like,
right.
What do you have to give up to get these star players, and how much of the future do you have to mortgage? But if you can figure out a way to get Donovan, if possible, and keep some of these young guys, like the core three that you just said, I'd be okay with that. If we could keep quickly Obi and RJ and bring in Donovan, I'm okay with that because there's going to be other young guys that the Knicks are going to try to acquire that you can get to help build around the team. And most likely you're going to have to go through whatever draft picks you got because money's going to be tied up.
Right.
But if you can do that, the other big thing, and I'm with you, Geraldine, I want to keep the kids too, but Donovan's still a young player. He's 25 years old. If you can keep some of that and bring him in, it does give you that element that you haven't had, the chance to acquire somebody else that can say, oh, they got Donovan now. Maybe now I do want to go check out the Knicks because we haven't had that yet.
Right.
People can say that, we look a little bit more attractive to teams with when, Julius got the most improved player and RJ's on the rise, but it wasn't enough yet. And then, of course, this year destroyed all of that with how they played and how Julius was. But Donovan is a star. So if you have one of those guys on your team, some people are definitely going to want to look to come to New York.
You're right.
So
some electrifying. I mean, Donovan would be electrifying over here in the guard.
Yeah, man. I mean, honestly, if they could get the Joker.
That's my dream scenario, boy. Donovan 1 year, then 23. Yo, Joe, ain't nothing going on with Denver, man. You don't try it, Murray. You waited. Murray let you down. He didn't want to come back. He's scared. He let you die this year. And the next year you got eliminated first round. Hey, come here, man. Do what I did, man. Come on over here. You got it.
Right,
I have the Joker. Donovan will be the Riddler. And RJ, that's Batman. Come on,
I like it.
Yeah, Gotham City for real.
I like that.
Yeah.
What's good, Andrew? Good to see you, brother. Yeah, man. Jay Boogie, you might be onto something. Excuse me. I like that.
I just talking dream scenarios, man.
Hey, man, listen, we all got a dream because there ain't nothing else to do. We could cry later.
Right. I hope we don't do no more crying later.
Yeah.
A lot of crying.
Right. What's good, Kev Guapo? Good to see you. Akuma, I see you, brother.
Man, shout out to all y'all great men, man. Blessings to all y'all, man.
And I can't forget my guy, Hewlett Samuel, a.k.a. Wadadley. What's going on?
What's happening? Anybody from Benjamin Cardoza, man. Any of my Cardoza high school guys out there, man. Shout out.
Salute to him.
JJ, I know JJ somewhere.
Yeah, JJ be popping in and out, man. JJ the dude. Will Salkin, I see you. Appreciate you. Boulevard 73. Appreciate you. Yeah, I think and Kaiser Soze, what's good? There's JJ. There you go.
Hey, my guy. Cardoza in the building.
What's going on, y'all? Bricks Nation, I see you. One of the things that I was thinking about is now, granted, the show is about Donovan,
right.
and does it look realistic for him coming here, and what are the the pluses and the minuses of having him? Minus, he's not the greatest defender.
Right.
Even though he has good athleticism and he can move up and down the court, he struggles on defense to stay with his man. Some people, I guess it's instinctual. They don't have it. We saw it with why can't I remember his name now?
Is he on the team now?
No. Shoot. Yo, don't get old. Don't get old, people.
No. Don't listen to that. Yes, do get old. Get old. That means you living. Don't listen to him.
Yo, why do I have a brain fart on this dude? The Knicks are back.
I don't know. They come back to you.
Anyway, he's what Obi, like we thought Obi would be him. He came to the Knicks right before Carmelo. Shoot. From Phoenix.
You talking about Amari?
Yeah, Amari Stoudemire. Yo, okay. I could not think of Amari Stoudemire's name. Yo, that's bad.
That tells you he didn't do that.
I need more of this.
Nigga, I ain't even come up here with my drink, man.
So, yeah, Amari Stoudemire showed us that you could be a good NBA player and play no defense.
Mm-hmm.
And he said he was never taught defense and that was never told he had to play defense. So
Right.
it is what it is. A-Train, salute to you. What's good? Yeah, I think that the Knicks just have to look at what makes the most sense. Don't put all your eggs in one basket, but definitely try to feel out what's going on out there. Let Donovan's people know, because I'm sure people are talking. This is where World Wide West comes into the play. He already got his messages out there. Let him know, look, we would love to have you. We real about building around you and RJ, hopefully, or just him. I don't know what they're gonna do, but let them know that. But I honestly think that the Knicks might look at it this way, and I think it might be smarter. Brunson might be the better move if you can do it, because less you got to give up, and Brunson might be more of what you need as far as position wise. If you can't, I think the Knicks are going to go Donovan first, and if they can't get Donovan, I think they're going to try to get Brunson.
Right.
But that doesn't mean getting Brunson, if you can get him, is a strikeout, because honestly, I think Brunson is better than what people think. I don't think he's phenomenal. I think he's undersized. I think he's a pretty decent defender. But what I think is special about Brunson is the fact that I think he's a really good scorer. And I think you don't get to see a lot of it because they got Luka over there and other guys, how the ball moves around. But when Luka's not there, Brunson is a bucket. And that, to me, and we've seen it in the playoffs now, I think Brunson might be a nice acquisition. I would love to get that price down a little bit. I don't necessarily want to pay him $25 million a year, but if they can work together, give him that homeboy discount because his father's involved with the organization and Leon Rose is his godfather. If that's the case, if they could work something out, that's something I would think about.
I'm 50-50 on Brunson. I'm 50-50 on him. And one thing I can say about Brunson, he has major heart. And we need more players on our team that got heart. And he's not going to give up. He's not going to let down. He's a quiet assassin. He don't say too much. He just play off of his off of his game. He's one of them guys that, I'm gonna show you with my game. I ain't gonna talk to you, none of that right there.
Right.
But where I see him lacking at, I really don't be seeing him too much communicating with the players, talking to them and directing them and leading them, telling them where, where you need to be versus if I can't get you the ball where you need to be versus me leading you to the spot where you can receive it again. I never just see him doing those type, leadership skills. To me, I think he's more or less on some, I'm gonna show y'all me this year. They offered him 55. He laughed, he joked at that. You know what I'm saying? Then they offered him something else, and he was like, nah, y'all too late. I guess that's what his dad was putting out or whatever. So the whole time I think he's just more or less playing for him, but is winding up being in good situations, being that, they played against Utah and they knocked them off and it looks good. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
My thing is, how much money am I going to put in my backcourt without really, really that major guy and knowing I got to pay RJ? I'm willing to almost sacrifice almost $300 million in years in my backcourt with RJ and Brunson. That's something that I'm just having, problems trying to figure out. You know what I mean? And then they already said, and I don't think he's going nowhere, be honest with you. You talking about somebody that got that bag. They got that bag over there.
Yeah.
And they already know Luka is injury prone. You know what I'm saying? So, I don't know if he comes, I'm gonna be okay with it. I'm gonna make myself okay with it and become, you know what I'm saying, a fan of his game because I love the Knicks. You know what I'm saying? This, some things I look at IQ. IQ was over there in Dallas, playing on the off side of Luka. He averaged 18 points easy because he's a better shooter. You know what I'm saying? So, I try to look up and I try to match up all types of different scenarios, man. But whatever we do, Leon, you told us that you're going to build through the draft. You told us that. You said that. The only way you're going to go outside your draft if something majorly happened. This is not majorly, but it's another piece that can go with some pieces, but we also have pieces that need somebody to come and lead our pieces. I don't want to mix and match, but if he comes, hey, I'm gonna rock with it. Then you want to give me that dream scenario? Give me Donovan, then him. And then I'm good in the backcourt with, Brunson, Donovan, and RJ. I'm good with that. I'm great with that. But if it's just, I ain't trying to overpay somebody just because we know we need a point guard when you should have already been had a point guard. We should have been had one too many times, too many situations. And I think IQ gonna have something he want to say. I just feel like that.
I see your point, and I agree with you that Brunson is not. He's not a very vocal leader. He's a quiet assassin. He's quiet. You're right. But I think that that if you get him and you keep the core of your talent, I think he can make guys better. But I also think that the nice thing about him is just what he does when you don't have the other guys. When he's asked to take the load of the burden and be that scoring option for you, he steps up and he does it with no problem. To me, that's interesting. And honestly, I guess if somehow you can keep RJ, I mean, no, with Brunson, yeah, but I'm saying if somehow you could have RJ and Julius with Brunson, it's interesting because who knows? I mean, maybe that turns Julius's game around, and then so it's like what you may not feel you're going to get from Brunson, what he does lack. If he makes Julius gives you the best version of Julius that we saw in the past, then that's a win.
Right.
Flip side is with regards to money and tying up all that money, like you said. If you go out there and get Brunson, you may figure out a way to get rid of Julius, so that money's kind of a wash in that sense. Like, you're giving Brunson the money, but you're not paying Julius anymore. So I hear you though. It's tough. It's tricky because Brunson is a good player, but he's not that flash that you want and the ideal fit that you're looking for. A nice sized point guard facilitator. Who's young and athletic, if you can find, check all those boxes. But it may be what the Knicks wind up with, man. And honestly, I just want them to make smart moves. I want them to have a plan A, B, C, and D.
Exactly.
And even if plan C or D had like a Tyus Jones, but we were able to get a stretch center who can shoot a mid-range or pop a three or something like that, and was a decent player. And we were able to get another small forward type who plays good defense and had like a 3-and-D guy. If they're able, smart basketball players, if they're still able to build and bring those guys in, because I said earlier, I'm looking around the league and watching some of these games and looking at guys like Jaden McDaniels and looking at Brandon Clark of Memphis. There's guys like that all over the place that play smart basketball and can give you different things. No reason why the Knicks can't replace some of these guys, the Nerlens Noels, the Kemba Walkers, the Alec Burks. No reason why they can't replace those type of guys with these other guys who can give you more. And that makes the team better anyway. Even if you say, you know what, we're going to have to chalk this year up. We can't get too crazy. We can bring in some small pieces, see what we get from the draft, and then wait till next year when we get that 2023 draft and see what we can come up with.
Right.
As long as we keep getting better, man.
And let me ask you this question. First, I got to give his props, to Cully. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm not one of them type guys that try to say something what somebody else says and act like I made it up. So let me give props to Cully. You know what I'm saying? my young guy, man. How would you feel if we have if how would you feel like say if how would you feel about a signing trade scenario with Julius going to Charlotte and we got Bridges and you know what I'm saying, we keep our little core and say our starting five either be like Quickly, RJ, Bridges, Obi, and if Mitch don't want to be here, that boy Michael Williams out of Duke.
Huh.
Really basic question. How you feel about Bridges coming on this team?
The only thing about Bridges is that I know he's inconsistent. He's very inconsistent. Right. But what I like about Bridges is he still has that explosive talent. Mm-hmm. He's a great leaper, very athletic. Sometimes he can surprise you with his shot. His jump shot is sometimes when it's on, it's on.
It's on.
And he's got a lot of effort and hustle on defense. Even though he's not the greatest defensive player, he can affect change. Right. But the biggest thing that I like about Bridges is he's a team player. He does whatever the team needs him to do. Some nights he don't even. It's not like some nights he's inconsistent, but there's other nights that he don't even score that much. He take like 5-6 shots and he let the ball move around. He's not that type of guy. Like he works with the team. I like that. That's a good mix for the Knicks.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. I'm not opposed to it because the only thing is, would he be comfortable coming off the bench? Because I would want Obi to be the starter. I want Obi to be the guy.
No, that was the five. Quickly, RJ, Bridges, Obi, and either Mitchell Robinson if he's here, or maybe draft that boy out of Duke playing center.
Oh, so you're saying put Bridges at the small forward?
Yeah. That's what he played now.
I wasn't sure. So he played small forward? I wasn't sure if he
played small forward. Doing that all that time whereas Gordon Hayward was out, he was playing small forward. And the other dude that came from Kentucky, he pretty much was playing the power forward role.
Oh, well, I mean, if that's the case, then yeah, I mean, that could work. I'm not opposed to that.
We need help. Man. We got all types of scenarios. We need help.
We give us some time. We'll rack our brains. We'll come up with something.
Yeah, we can't do what we did last season. That was a disaster, Julius. Thank you for that.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. And shout out to Cully, man. Yeah, that scenario is interesting. It could work. It's not bad. And if he can play the small forward, which that makes sense. Because my whole thing is like, I think Obi would be so much more useful and interesting to us if we could use him as small forward. But the verdict is still out on that. So
right. I just want to get away from that. Stop trying to continue on tricking us because one, either you're not going to get rid of Julius, or number two, nobody wants Julius, or number three, you're not going to get rid of Obi, and four, nobody wants Obi. You keep trying to trick us on they can play together. No, they can't. They can't play together. Stop trying to force it. Stop trying to do it. They can't play together. They don't belong together. It's either or, one of the two. And I don't want to be it's the same situation we was in when Julius had that first bad year when we draft Obi and we thought we was going to trade him. We can't do the same thing after Julius having that bad season all over again and we got Obi. You got to get rid of Julius or you can't draft Obi, meaning you're going to have to get rid of Obi. If you don't, you know what I'm saying, trade Julius, man. But I'm getting ready to jump off, my brother. It's 12 noon, high noon. The Giants, we got 2 picks in the 4th, 3 picks in. No, we got 2 picks in the 4th, 3 picks in the 5th. I'm on my football. I'm a fantasy player, man. You know what I'm saying? So I'm up on it, man. I got to see what's going on.
I'm with you, brother. Listen, and if you play fantasy, if you in a league and they need an extra player, you holler at me, brother. I'm in it.
I'm gonna have to run 2 leagues because I had a lot of guys. I had Freeze in the league. Legion was in the league, I had Hadouken in the league with me, we all got clobbered, we had a champion that just knocked our heads off, but yeah, I'm gonna have to open up, 2 leagues because I got so many other people that want to play. You know what I'm saying? Or if somebody else has a league, man, let me know because I love playing fantasy football.
I'll let you know if I hear anything. Before you jump on, let me just get
Yes, sir.
Don P up in here. What's going on, Don P?
Yo, what's
Dom,
good,
what's
man?
happening?
What's happening, bro? I don't know. Have you ever tuned into the show before?
Now it's my first time tuning in, man. I didn't know
All right.
if the invitation was
Appreciate you.
private or public. You feel me?
Yeah, I know. I just wanted to get you on real quick. Maybe you say what's up to Jay Boogie because Jay Boogie about to bounce. You know,
Yo,
and I
what's
give
up,
you that.
Jay Boogie, man? You always be inspiring me with your closing comments, man, on KnicksFanTv, man. I appreciate that, bro. For
Man,
real.
love, respect, man. Appreciate you, man, because I do it for y'all, not for me, man. Y'all the ones, you know what I'm saying, that, I look forward to, giving my all to, man. Blessings to you, my brother. How you doing?
No doubt. Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm good, man. Y'all was talking I think the subject was Donovan Mitchell joining the Knicks. And I put in the chat that, he's a good passer. No doubt. He's a good passer, but that's just not his game. His game is not the running team. That's not
Right.
his game. He's looking to score more than anything. And on his team, the point guard, I believe the point guard don't necessarily have to be a dog that's looking for his own points. I mean, you got people like Obi Toppin, who's looking to score whenever we get the rebound. You got people like Cam Reddish, who's down to get the rock and do his thing whenever he gets the rock. We need a point guard who can orchestrate the team. And I hear mumbles of Colin Sexton. I hear mumbles of what's his name? Jalen Brunson. I don't really have an issue with him, but I'm not willing him to pay him that money if we already got Manuel quickly. You see what I mean? So as far as that concerned, I think we should go for more of a not, I won't say a traditional point guard. Essentially, that's just what it is. A traditional point guard who can orchestrate a team, who's willing to give up the rock. I ain't talking about no Frank Ntilikina type of dude.
Right.
Oh, you ain't like him?
I wouldn't say I didn't like him, but yo, back when Trey Burke, Emmanuel Mudiay, and a lot of point guards was like they was putting up numbers. We kind of ran all of them out of New York because of Frank Ntilikina. You know what I mean?
True.
So with that said, man, I like a point guard who can play defense, but a point guard who can orchestrate a team and at least be some type of a threat penetrating. You know, a threat that can collapse the defense whenever he's penetrating and kick it out. Frank Ntilikina, he wasn't that. You know what I mean? So I just want to see your thoughts on that. That's all.
Yeah, man. No, listen. I agree. I agree that we definitely need that. We need that type of guy. And I don't want to hold you up, Jay Boogie. You got to bounce. It was always a pleasure to have you, brother. We'll chop it up, man. I'm definitely gonna reach out to you about coming on the Monday show with me and John.
Okay. Yeah, just let me know, man. Hey, Don P, man, blessings and blessings to you, man. Everybody in the chat, man, y'all continue staying healthy and safe, man, and go do something for yourself, man. It's halfway through the Saturday, you know what I'm saying? I mean, we got one more day and wake up, you know what I'm saying, for the weekend is over. Go treat you and yourself. Do something with your family, man. Appreciate your life every day, man. Blessings and blessings. Salute, salute, salute. 3 capital S's, y'all. Y'all have a great weekend.
All right,
Hey,
salute.
Boogie, good to see you, brother.
No doubt.
So yeah, Don P. I think that I think you're right. I think we do need that. I think there's ways to win without getting that if we can't figure out a way how to make it happen. But I would agree that's what I was always looking for. That's the type of player that I think the Knicks need, that a dynamic true point guard that can facilitate and get guys open. Like there's guys who can pass the ball and there's guys who can get you open and know how to, feed your spots, get you the right shot that you're looking for, or sometimes get you the shot that you didn't know you needed, So, yeah, I would love to see that. I think the one thing about Donovan that I will say is he's better at facilitating than I gave him credit for. Earlier in the season, I wanted Donovan here. I didn't necessarily want him as a point guard because I didn't think he was that great at facilitating. But then I kind of looked at his numbers and I looked at a lot of his games and I looked at how he played against us. And I said, he's not that bad. He's a sneaky good passer and he moves the ball pretty well. So that type of stuff made me think differently about it. But I agree. If we can get somebody, let me get my man Marvin back up in here. What's up, Marvin? How you doing, brother?
Hey, what's going on? Salute, guys. How you doing, Ron? What's going on,
Good,
guys?
good. You look comfortable, man.
Hey, man, you know how we do it down here in Dallas. You know, I've been down here in Dallas for a while, man, and it's nice and beautiful down here, man. Great, right afternoon. So I'm just enjoying myself. Just want to stop in and give a salute to the panel and to the chat and to the, and just say what's going on. You know, my Bulls took a dive, and me and you talked about that for a while. And my expectation wasn't a championship this year. I think we had a nice learning curve. Had a pretty rough second half of the season, but injuries are a part of the game, and we were kind of banged up. But I think it's a good learning curve for them. What's going on with you guys?
Nothing much, man. Chilling, just chopping it up here. Got a first time Don P up in here. Just happy to have him. Thanks for tuning in and jumping on.
Yes, sir.
And yeah, man, Marvin. Hey, man, I just want to say, listen, I appreciate you, brother. This year was a tough year. You guys, the Bulls had to battle with a lot of injuries, and unfortunately, it couldn't come at the worst possible time. And then now, you may be doing some little shifting or restructuring, especially if Zach LaVine leaves, which I don't know if he will, but there's a chance he could. And so then, you got to see what that turns into, how they move things around, and also the health of Lonzo Ball and like how big of an issue that is.
Yeah. I was on a panel last night and we were discussing that, Ron. And you know what? I just wanted to say this, guys. One thing about NBA is a business first. And if you hear the comments from Zach LaVine, it's exactly what he should say. There's no reason for him to be an unrestricted free agent and not try, and not just at least go out and look at free agency. And what that does is put it in the organization mind is, look, we need to pay him or he's gonna try to leave. That's for his future, and I understand that. But I really believe in my heart. I just spoke with my brother a little while ago. The Bulls are going to sign him because we can offer him the most money. Now, as far as Lonzo is concerned, and I wanted to say this to everybody, I know you guys know this, and I really believe this, guys. You don't want to drag an injury history with you in the NBA because, hey, man, that's not good. And he's been injured too often and too many times now, man. Now, he's good, but he's not good if he's not on the court. I hate to say that, but injuries are a part of the game, but that really does affect how you get contracts. Now, the Bulls have signed him, but that does not mean that we won't get rid of him. If he doesn't play almost a complete year next year, I don't know exactly, but hey, man, it's going to be kind of bad for him. So hopefully the Bulls can get everything done. They were actually slated to actually say they were going to luxury tax. So I think they're going to keep everybody and add some pieces. Hopefully they do, and maybe we can have a good year. And I want to say this too in closing. I don't know if I told you guys this one time before, but I say it all the time. At the end of the year, only one city going to be happy. Only one year. Only one team. So everybody out there rooting for their teams, and I know that. But you can rest assured, if we out, a lot of other people out, and I'm not saying that because we are out. There's only one team every year is going to be happy, and that's just how it is.
You ain't lying. Listen, man, I wish that they had a much better showing and that health was on their side. For your sake, Marvin, one of my best friends is a Bulls fan, so for him, I'm glad they out. He kills me all the time about the Knicks, so I got to rip him.
Yeah, you Knicks
hey,
man,
yeah, man. I get a lot of flack down here in Dallas because the Mavericks went on to the second round. And I'm not against any other team. I'm just a Bull fan. I'm from Chicago, so that's my team. I don't knock other teams. I give positive perspective from both sides or any side, and I give props where props are due. Now, as far as the Knicks are concerned, I want to say this to the guys, to all the fans and everybody there. Man, you guys got a great future ahead of you guys, man. And you think about it. Everything is a learning curve, man, in this thing. They talk about Milwaukee being such a powerhouse, but I don't know if a lot of people realize Milwaukee hadn't won a championship until last year since 1971. It was their time, guys. Think about it. That's what's that, 50 years? Come on, man. How long they've been suffering. So if you think your team is suffering and you've been without a championship for a long time, look back at the other teams. A lot of these teams hadn't won a championship in a long time. It is tough to win a championship. But as far as the Knicks are concerned, with the talent you have, and I did want to ask you this, what are you guys thinking about doing with Randall? Because, he fit pretty damn nice in Chicago. How about that?
Yeah, I wanted to come in on that, but
Go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
All right, so with Randall, my thing is I understand that a lot of teams is not really checking for Randall like that, but he is giving us 20 and 10 on a bad season. You know what I mean? So with that
Yeah.
said, surely we can at least, because the fact that the Knicks signed him prematurely to this extension, surely we can trade him in for at least like a 1 year bad contract or something. I heard rumblings of Russell Westbrook. I know a lot of Knicks fans ain't feeling that, but we got to be smart about the situation. There's no way we can trade Randall for another player that's equal his value or that's giving the same type of production. I don't think that's reasonable at all, considering his issues that he had for New York. So it's either one thing or another. Like, we can't keep him on this team, especially if we want Obi to start or if we want Obi to have minutes. So we gotta trade him. We gotta trade him. We
Yeah.
can't slow down. We can't do another Joe Kim Noah. We can't do that. Like,
Yeah, you know, Ron, you know, me and Ron, I think on one of his shows a while back, we were discussing that, Ron. I don't know if you remember, and I, you know, because they wasn't playing Obi that much. And I think I posed the question of, do you think Randall and Obi could play together? And a lot of people were real kind of iffy about that. And I felt that Obi had real good upside. Now, here's the deal, guys. I really feel Randall could really bring you something because there's going to be a lot of people out there looking for him. So I really feel like you guys get a good deal back from him. And then one more question I got for you guys. What you guys going to do with Mitch?
Well, one, I would say that I don't really think that Obi and Randall can play together because I just think that Randall clogs up everything that Obi needs to be successful when he's out there. And it's not necessarily Randall's fault. Randall's just being Randall. Randall's playing his role and what he's used to doing out there. But when he's out there on the court and Obi's there at the same time, Obi doesn't have that same freedom to move around and do what he would like to do. So I don't see it. Can they stay on the same team? Yeah, but should they be out there playing together? I don't think that works too good for Obi. I don't think it matters to Randall. Excuse me.
yeah, I completely agree with you, Ron. Completely.
Yeah. Now, in that case, I believe Randall's going to leave anyway. So this opens the door for Obi. But are you guys going to stick with Mitch? Are you guys looking to move him? Are you guys looking to bring somebody else in, or what?
I'll let you go, Dom P, in a minute.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say I think the Knicks are gonna try everything they can to keep Mitch. I just don't know how Mitch feels about staying, and that to me, I think that's gonna be. We're gonna really see where Mitch's loyalty is and how he feels about the team itself. Because if he stays, he's staying because of the money and the guys on the team. He's not staying because of the organization and the coach. So
yeah,
we'll see how he really feels, and also if he's like in a situation where he's homesick or like wants to be closer to home, whether that be New Orleans or Dallas or Fort, whatever, wherever he wants to be. That'll be a good indicator of because if he goes to a team in one of those places, then you know that he really wanted to be closer to home. And it's about the money, but also he wanted to be closer to home. So we'll see. I don't know, but I think they'll try. Honestly, I thought Mitch was out of here a couple months ago, but maybe down the stretch, when the way that the young guys were playing, maybe he sees something and he's like, okay, well, if we're going to play this type of basketball, maybe I want to stick around. I just don't know if that was enough to sway him because I really felt like he was like checked out, but we'll see. What were you going to say, Doug P?
I would say that Mitch is one of those players who do check in to these platforms. You know what I mean? I think he secretly be checking in. And if memory serves me right, a lot of us Knicks fans did kind of turned on him at certain parts of the season. And he recognized that. So I agree with you wholeheartedly, Ron, that I think Mitch is checked out of New York. I like Mitch. I do. But we got to prepare for the fact that, he might just leave. You know what I mean? He might just leave for nothing. And we got to prepare for that as Knicks fans. You know what I mean? We dropped the ball by not trading him as much as we like him. You know what I mean? I put that on the organization. We got
and I wanted to bring. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. Now I'm done.
Yeah, I wanted to bring that up too, guys. Was that a miss, whatever you call for the organization by not trying to address Mitch earlier than now? Because if you get to this point now, there's a chance that you get losing him for nothing. And another question I have for you guys: was the development done properly? I mean, I didn't see any low post move. I hadn't seen no back to the basket moves yet. Was development on him? And you're right. Is it a problem with some of the fans in New York being a little bit harsh on the players, which in turn sometimes does not prove for solid top free agents coming to New York? You guys think that's a problem, or you think there's just some money issue? Is it the taxes in New York, or is it something further than that? It's just a question I've always wanted to know.
Well, I definitely think that money is an issue, and taxes in New York is an issue, and the media is an issue, and the fan base can be a little bit of an issue. I don't think Knicks fans are horrible, but some Knicks fans are a little over the top. But yeah, I think all of that plays into it. And if what you say is true, Hewlett, that's great. That's a good sign. I hope that's the case. I hope he still feels that way. So that at least gives the Knicks a chance to work with him. Because for some people, it's not all about the money. Of course, you want to get paid for your efforts and your talent, but you're not looking to break the bank if you didn't warrant it. So if he just wants to get paid a fair amount and he'll stay, then that'll be great. I do think that what you were saying before, Marvin, and what you alluded to, Dom P, is that the Knicks may not have done right by Mitch earlier. And I want to give credit to Uncle Freezy from Blorange Tears. He brought up the fact that Knicks had a chance to re-sign Mitch a while ago at a much lower rate, and they chose not to really address it. And then they chose to give guys like Nerlens Noel money, who, we see how that panned out this year. And then which is why I want to bring this up and give credit to Uncle Freezy, is the fact that he brought up the whole thing. Like, you don't give Mitch money, right? And then you go out and sign this guy, Luka Samanic, to the G League team, and you're paying him more on the G League team than you paying Mitch. Now, that's crazy. That's a bad one. That was a bad one. I got Uncle Freezy. You nailed that one, brother. So if you're watching or if you see this later, I agree with you wholeheartedly. That's wild.
If you think about that, Ron, how does that make a player feel? How does it make him feel welcome to an organization if you do something of this sort? Well, first of all, you have to be open-minded as an organization on the talent that you have in front of you to decide if you want to pay him this money. Well, you don't give it to him and you give it to somebody in the G League. You telling that player, I'm not worth what you guys don't want me. I'm not saying that he's going to leave, but it's probably issues. Now, money keeps a lot of people in place. We all know that. But I do have a question for you guys. I know you guys are looking for a couple of players. We, as Chicago Bulls, are trying to get rid of a couple of players. You guys like Kobe White down there in New York? Do you like Kobe White? Because if you do, you can have him. How about that?
I'm good on him. I like Kobe White. Nah, I'm good on him.
I'll be honest with you. I'm not trying to be a Kobe White hater, but I was never big on Kobe White. I like the fact that he showed me some things. He was on North Carolina, right? I believe.
Yeah.
He showed me a couple things there. And then when he came to the Bulls, he had a good first season. He was pretty explosive. He had moments. But after that, once the Bulls started to build and put more talent on the team, you start to see he wasn't a real big factor anymore.
Yeah. Inconsistent, to say the least.
Yeah. And for me, I don't think the Knicks need that on the team. I'd rather the Knicks get themselves a smart, high IQ basketball player at every position of need that they need to fill or to switch out. Like, if you decide now we're moving away from Alec Burks, get yourself a better Alec Burks, a smarter Alec Burks, or something like that. Get yourself a better Nerlens Noel, a guy who could stretch the floor, certain things like that. and first off, and then Kobe White doesn't, to me, give you what you need. Like, he's not a facilitating point guard. And we already got guys like Grimes, and you got IQ, a combo guard. You got Deuce. I just don't see why you would go out there and bring him in.
Yeah. Now, it's been in the making and been talked about Ayo Dosunmu from Chicago, the young guard that we got in the second round last year. Now, he kind of hit the rookie wall at the second half of this season,
Right.
but he's going to be a talent, and I know a lot of people are going to come. His contract is up after the end of next year. So that's a decision we're going to have to make, including with Alonzo Ball being injured. So right now, Lonzo Ball knows the chips on the table right now, man, because with the Sumo being up and coming as a young player, and the Bulls going to have to make a decision on him at the end of next year. This really hinges on how if Lonzo Ball is healthy, basically, if we keep him. So in the Bulls case, man, we got a couple of things we need to get taken care of also. But I really wanted to just, I really was, concerned about the Knicks, because with Randall. All right, first of all, I want to ask you guys this. Will Randall be moved?
He has to be. He has to be. I can't see a situation to where he's not moved. I mean, the fans is becoming very impatient. Well, we becoming very impatient. Some of the front office is kind of divided on when it comes to Tom Thibodeau and how he's handling Randall. So he has to be removed. I'm not gonna diss Randall and say that he's a bad player. That would be disingenuous of me. What I will say is his playing style doesn't fit with the direction of where the team is trying to go. When Obi's on the court and Quickly's on the court and when Randall's out of the court, let's just put it that way, the team is moving faster. That's the pace of the NBA as a whole. When Randall's on the court, if you notice, his playing style it resembles more of a Carmelo Anthony, Michael Beasley type of deal. You see what I mean? Back when he was playing in New Orleans, back when he was playing with the Pelicans, it was a lot of pick and rolls with Randall and bully ball. When he came to New York, he developed that same style that Melo has. And it's not, to me, it's not as good as Melo. To me, it's not as good as even Beasley. Maybe his rebounding is, but as far as his ISO scoring, it's not as good as those two players. So as far as I'm concerned, we got to get rid of him. We got to. And I'm quite sure on a bad season, let's call it for what it is, he had a bad season, he's still giving us 20 and 10. I'm quite sure he could be valuable to somebody.
Oh yes, he's gonna bring definitely something. And one more thing I wanted to add, because of what you said, is that actually true? Because was Randall this bad last year? You guys make the playoffs. Now remember, we're talking about basically not exactly the same team, but very close to it. You just changed guard situations, and it was Randall was, revealed in New York as being okay. Now, I don't believe he got the money and just tanked or just lost his mind or anything. I think they kind of lost their way, and it was a contributing factor to a lot of things on the team, not just the players, but the coaching staff included. So it's moving him. Well, I would say this, just with his erratic behavior, he would have to be moved. Just make sure you guys get something in return that equals what he gave you. And I think you really can. I really do. And also, Rose, are you guys going to keep him? Are you keeping Derrick Rose? And who are you looking for a point guard in the draft? Or are you going to try to get one in free agency?
Well, I think that one with Randall, I think the big difference with Randall is just that mentally he was a lot stronger in that last year, in that most improved player season, but he was just getting the pressure and the burden. So he hadn't gotten it yet. He was able to play free-flowing basketball in a role that allowed him to be a facilitator as well as the main scoring option. But once we got to the playoffs, that's when the bright lights and the pressure was turned up. And, we saw how he kind of, fell apart in that situation. And it led into him basically playing that same way this past year. So in essence, when you look at it, what the deer in headlights stuff that you saw in the playoffs is exactly what you saw most of the season this year. He played good in spurts, but he had a lot of that same deer in headlights stuff, and the pressure really got to him. The criticism, all that stuff weighed heavily. Some of it was unfair, the stuff talking about his personal life and whatever, and bringing his family involved and speculating on that stuff. That was too much, understandable. But I just think all of it got to be way too much for him. And in essence, we saw the worst of Julius. Now, to your other question about, do I think Julius is going to be moved? I think the Knicks are going to figure out a way to keep this guy. Do I think they should? No, I think the Knicks should probably move on. I just think that the bad blood thing between him and the fans, like once it's out there, once you put it out there, it's hard to kind of go back from, because as soon as he does something that doesn't sit right, it's gonna be like the Boo Birds never left. It'll be right back where it was at its peak. And I think that's tough for a player to deal with, especially a player that feels like he wants to be here and he gave up money to be here to make it better for the team. Like, he could have got more money possibly at that time, but he decided to take that offer, and it wasn't a horrible offer, so it worked for the Knicks. And I'm sorry, Marvin, I might have forgotten your other question that you just said.
My last one was, were you guys going to move off of Rose, Derrick Rose?
Oh, honestly, Rose is very 50-50 for me. I like the guy. Of course, I love Derrick Rose. I'm happy that he's here. But depending on what the Knicks can do in the draft, depending on where their pick is and what type of talent they get, to me will determine whether or not Derrick Rose should be on this team next year. If the Knicks wind up with a good pick, maybe in the top 10, but on the lower side, and they're able to get like a Ben Mathurin, okay, then you can still see a need for Derrick Rose at some point. But if the Knicks somehow get a higher pick, right, and it's top 5 or something like that, and they're able to draft, a point guard, or one of the few point guards that is available, then maybe you have to move on, because you still got Quickly that you're going to keep most likely, and then you still got Deuce, unless you trade him. But the point is, I think at that point, D Rose becomes expendable. So it all depends on what they do, I think.
One more question for you. Do you guys really think that you played better when Rose was healthy? Because I in my eyes, I really feel that you did. And
yeah,
he was a key. He
I
was
think
a key
so.
in you guys. Yeah, he was a key in you guys' run last year in the playoff run. Now, what I want to bring that up for is this: if you planning on getting a point guard, or are you just going to run with quickly as a starter? If you plan on getting one through the draft, do you think that's the proper way of going about it? Or do you think a veteran point guard, somebody like, well, Brunson is not a veteran. We talked about that on one of your shows before. Remember, I mentioned Brunson to you. Now, with him playing like this in the playoffs this year, he's raising his value. He's stacking the cash in his back pocket right now, guys. Now, that might not be good for the league, but it's good for him. It's just truthfully what it is. But I just say this because if you guys are going to think about using the draft to bring a young point guard in, I think Rose will be a nice guy to try to mentor there. Now, as far as his health is concerned, that's an issue. I really feel Rose, to me, he's a stabilizing force, and he's always has been. He's down the stretch, down the wire, at the end of the game, you can kind of depend on him. So if you're talking about rebuilding and going young, do you keep a couple of these veterans around to try to mentor them through? Or do you just go completely young? And in my eyes, I really feel like you guys wasn't very far off, as well as my guys of my team. Why would we break it all the way down instead of just trying to add key pieces to get over the top a little bit better? I just feel like Rose. The only thing with Rose is, with his age and his health, it is an issue. You cannot ignore that. So you're taking a chance with that. And then Kimba, I'm not even going to bring up Kimba because I know you guys got plans for that. But Rose is kind of interesting to me because the reason I'm bringing it up because he's, if anything, if he goes anywhere, he'll come back to Chicago. And I don't even know if I don't know if we would actually. It all depends on the money that he's asking. I mean that he wants. But with his current injury situations, it kind of puts it, up in the air, So I was just wondering about it. You guys are basically just like us. We got issues and that's every NBA team. We got to address issues. Let's see if we can address them properly. And then you look at the success of the season that you just had and the failures that you had, and you try to address them. So I want to give a shout out to the great basketball minds in New York, and Sims and Ron. I'm sorry, and Andy and Uncle Freezy, because we had some talks before. And one thing I can say is you guys welcome me all the time, and I really do appreciate that.
Yeah, well, listen, I think I can speak for all of them when I say we love having you, Marvin. You're very insightful, and you're the word I'm looking for. You're very balanced in your opinions and takes, and you're not one-sided. So I think everybody appreciates that, and it's great to chop it up and to be able to talk with you. Let me say, I'll respond to it real quick and then let Don P say what he wants to about it. Let me bring my man Soul Finger in here while I do that. So,
Soul Finger.
Yeah, that's right. There he is, the man, the myth, the legend. Let me shout out once again to the chat. Some people maybe I didn't get before. El Survey, what's good? Be civilized. I see you. Visions, what's happening, man? Movies and stuff. Good to see you. The Public Enemy #1. What's happening? And Rich Boy, what's good? The Public Enemy, by the way, just a side talk. He says the Giants need a running back. You're right, they do, and they should have. Honestly, I think they should have took Breece Hall, but they let the Jets get him. Breece Hall is going to be nasty, but whatever. Anyway, so I think it's interesting. Honestly, it really depends on what they decide to do, Marvin. Because if the Knicks do decide to go try to acquire talent in the trade market, then Derrick Rose would probably stay here, and he would be needed because they would be giving away pieces, and they need somebody like Derrick Rose to fill that void. And I think Derrick Rose played a really big part of the Knicks' success in that 4th seed year. Problem with Derrick is just that you can't, like, at this advanced age, you just got to know he's going to get hurt. You knew he was injury prone before, but the older he gets, the less likely he's going to be able to stay out there and be a healthy contributor. So right now, this is all about respect and the love for the guy of what he decided to do. Coming back here, I appreciate him. I love Derrick Rose. I mean, and I'm a Knicks fan, and I know what he meant to the Bulls organization, but I've always thought Derrick Rose was a special player. And I'll never forget draft day when the Bulls got him. I couldn't believe it. First, I couldn't believe y'all got that pick, but it is what it is. So,
well,
it's a conspiracy.
You know how big markets is, Ron. You know how big markets is. NBA is a true business, and sometimes the chips fall not where they should. And hey, and that's a question I have for you in the panel. Where exactly are you guys slated to pick this year? I mean, next year.
Oh, we don't know yet. Like right now, it's very open, and I've seen like mock drafts having the Knicks at different positions, having them at 9, anywhere between like 8 to 12. I mean, 8 to 13. So it's all wild. I don't know. No one knows because it's just they kind of basically basing it off of previous drafts and the amount of ping pong balls we got, and we could fall here. I don't know. Somewhere it could be anywhere between like 8, 9, and like 12 and 13, something like that. I don't know.
And supposedly on the board, do you have any idea of the guys that should be available at 8 through 12 or whatnot? Guys that fit what you need, basically, because a lot of times guys just pick the best available best available player, but then sometimes it should be judged by the needs of your team. Now, if you guys are slated, if you think you slated 8 through 12, Who do you think? I mean, I haven't looked at the mock drafts for college players that are coming out, and are the players kind of, you know, similar, or they're going to be a real good pick of players there for you guys to pick from that for the needs, not just the best player on the board.
Well, honestly, not really. I don't know too much about all the players that fall between that area. I did a draft show, early draft show a while ago, and I went down to about 10, and I also threw a couple other people in there. But they're not in any particular order, some of the guys. So I don't know where it's going to fall. I can tell you guys like Ben Mathurin might be there, which would be a nice pick for the Knicks. Guys like Ty Washington from Kentucky might be there, who I don't know if that's who the Knicks want. He's a smaller version of Quickly and Maxey. I don't know why they would want to do that again. That doesn't make sense. You already got one type of player. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. Even though Ty Washington may be a better facilitator, but he's not a good shooter. So it's real iffy. But I will tell you this, Marvin, stay tuned, because I am going to be doing another draft show very soon. And we will be breaking down some of the prospects and getting a little bit more in depth into that. And hopefully we're going to do it differently, so I don't have to worry about the YouTube powers that be coming after me.
Yeah, I think I've seen one.
Let me get Soulfinger in here. Soulfinger, you with us?
Yes, sir. But I thought you can get your man. I'm behind your man Don P. I'm just sitting back in order. I don't want to overstep anybody.
All right, no problem. Don P. What do you think about what Marvin said about Derrick Rose? You think he's going to be here going forward, or do you think the Knicks need to maybe move on from him? Because he was a big contributor, but I know health is an issue.
Yeah, he was a heck of a big contributor. I would say this. I personally love D Rose. I love what he did for the Knicks. You know what I mean? And what I would say is this: we know what we got when we signed him. We know about his injury history. As far as him being healthy, people don't realize it wasn't just Randall who contributed to us making a 4th seed. It was largely due to Rose as well. But with that said, you know, my thing is this with Rose: if I will only be cool with keeping him if he agrees to negotiate like a reasonable price, considering his injury history and considering his availability. You know what I mean? But as if we can negotiate a good price with him, then I would say, you know, trade him to a contending team, because that's what he deserves at the end of the day. I give all the respect to D Rose, but we already have a large gem at the point guard already, and that's something that we really need. I'm not willing to trade Quickly right now because he's cheap and he's producing for us. I'm not willing to trade Deuce McBride because we don't even know what we have in him yet. At this juncture in of the Knicks dynamic, I would say let's just see what we have in our young guys, build from there, because frankly speaking, as far as the free agency goes and as far as trades go, Knicks fans, we tend to overvalue our players. We tend to do that, and we tend to think that, oh, if I trade this person for this superstar, they're going to go for it. And they don't look at our players like we look at our players. And as far as free agency goes, there is truth to what's being said about how hard the fans can be on the players. Not everybody's built to play for New York. So with that said, let's focus on our young guns. And if we could, let's trade away a lot of our veterans that we're overpaying, including, I won't even say D Rose is not a veteran that we overpaying, but we might have to trade him to make some room for another point guard who can contribute on a regular basis. And that's where I'll go from there. I don't know what the team will do to answer your question, but that's what I would do, is see if I can move him for somewhere. And if I can't move him, see if I could get him for the cheapest price I could get him.
I hear you.
Right now,
I
he's
understand that.
Right now, he's under 3-year 13. You guys think that's a little high? 13 per.
It's not high for him, for his value, if he's out there healthy. It is high to be paying somebody on the bench who's not contributing to your team. But if he's out there, I know he's worth it. He definitely has proven that we've needed him. He's been a big piece of what we've had going on. And when we can't find a bucket, when we're stagnant, and when the offense doesn't look like it's moving, D Rose helps a lot with that. It's just the fact that his best assets is some of the stuff that gets him hurt. I mean, it's just how his body is built. And I don't know. I honestly want to keep him at least for this next year. But if the Knicks make some significant moves, especially like changing the dynamic of the way the team looks, and if they look a little stacked, if they get a Brunson, it's hard for me to see D Rose staying here. If they get a Donovan Mitchell, where you got to trade pieces to acquire him, then I can see D Rose being a part of this because you're going to need assets. And if you got a D Rose who hasn't played for you, that's a nice chip to have to bring in. So we'll see. Soulfinger, what do you think? And then I'll get to my man Andy. Appreciate you, Andy, as always. Good to see you, brother.
All right. Well, first of all, a salute, Ron. Appreciate letting me in. Salute, panel. Always good to see you on, Andy. Stay safe and everything, brother. Salute to the chat and everything. Regardless, I came in a little late and I gotta give a man his props. He made a good point. Pudge nice on one thing he was saying about, if you're gonna get rid of them, get rid of, trade roles, get something we can use for depth. Basically a center and a wing. That's what we need. I like D Rose. All right, let me just start off with that. Also one more thing. Hey, if you in here, you hadn't hit that like button, hit the like button. That could be your exercise for the day. Burn those calories. Show some love for our man Ron. Now back to what I was about to say real quick. I love D Rose. I love what he did because let's keep it a buck. We do give Randall his credit because last season, the Randall Express, the Randall Show was something nice to see, and we made the playoffs. But I'm speaking on me. I know I've been hard on the front office and things and try to keep it as optimistic, and keep it fair on both sides. But the key to last season was the trade of Derrick Rose coming into the Knicks. Because that went under the radar nationally, but for those that know the game and watch, that was a big linchpin for us to pull. And he helped and he saved a lot of that. He saved that season. This season, we looked at it. We needed him, and they paid him based off everything last season, considering knowing his injuries and everything. But the fact that when he went down, there was no backup plan. They were lost, and I look at it like this: he comes back next season, he's gonna play him, and he's gonna play him he shouldn't be playing extended minutes like that, but he will. Tibbs is gonna get that ankle and those knees a run for the money. I think we should trade him. I love D Rose, like I said. I respect the man and everything he's overcome physically and everything, and made the comeback and have the standing to be as respected as he is in the league. You cannot take that game when he's healthy, and even at the age he is now, he's still killing cats. I was telling my daughter, I talk about her a lot. Bird, he's one of her favorite Knicks, D Rose. She said, I want handles like D Rose. And I was telling her, she was looking at him go by. She's like, man, he's fast. I said, no, he's not fast. He's slowed down. He's not as fast as he used to be. She looked at me like I was crazy. But we know that from seeing the D Rose before the injuries. The man with the injuries still better than majority of these cats are out here now playing point guard. It's just a shame that father time and injuries. It's just one of those things. I say send him back to Chicago. Send him so when he hangs up the high tops, he can hang them up at home, show the man respect, but in the process get something back that the team could use as far as depth to help the team. Yeah. Get you a couple of players that can use in a rotation, or some players can help flip to get something else, or if you can get some picks, do that. But I think we should move on.
I hear you. And I'm with you. If we're gonna move, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, great take. That's a great analogy of it. Great take.
I agree.
Question, Soulfinger?
Yeah.
So, if the shoe was on the other foot and another team had D Rose and we had the same players that we have now, who would you be willing to trade for D Rose from our team?
For our team, if it was us to get him, I would look at. Well, believe it or not, I had to look at what how Tibbs. If it was me on the outside, I'm looking at if the Knicks had if I wanted to get D Rose back, I'm looking at young players that Tibbs not playing, and I would actually go after them. I.e., I would see if I can get a Cam Reddish. I would see about trying to get Deuce. I would even entertain knowing the situation with Mitch, see what kind of deal I can do to get Mitch from him. Because you got young talent. I'm looking at trying to get that young talent that Knicks have, but I'm looking at the guys that he won't play, knowing the animal I'm dealing with and Tibbs. Because I'm it could be a big swing and a miss. I'm not looking for a superstar, but I'm looking at somebody that can help my team depth wise, and that can probably build, especially if I'm an organization that's good with developing. And I would even look at Obi as well. Those are young guys I'm looking at. IQ, I wouldn't. I'm gonna shoot my net out there to see, but I'm really looking at the cats he won't play, because there's a possibility those guys are probably way better, as we've seen, but most part are better than what he let on. But I would definitely look at the mid situation.
Right.
Got you.
I just want to say real quick before I get to Andy, thank you guys for tuning in. As always, we appreciate you. Hit that like button. If you haven't already subscribed, we appreciate the subscriptions. Trying to get to that 700 number. We had 689. We're getting very close. Thank you guys, as always, for tuning in. Salute to Quality Jumper. I see you, Knicks Worldwide, and Donovan Green. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Before I get to Andy, if you guys haven't already done so, please go to the Nothing But Knicks site. They're going to be having an NBA draft party in Atlantic City. It's going to be held at the Flagship Hotel. They have a nice package set up right now where you can do one day, or you can do a day and a half in essence. So that's the night of. You can see the NBA draft, get a complimentary drink. There'll be a little bit of a buffet there. So, it's all you can eat while supplies last. Definitely take a part in that. Of course, you'll be surrounded by great Knick content creators that are able to make it. You might have a chance to get on the Nothing But Knicks live podcast and voice your opinion about the Knicks and the draft and what's going on. Also, the next day they're going to be doing a brunch where you'll be able to be a part of. There's a podcast and a brunch. You'll be able to be a part of that as well. And they might be doing some other little festivity things. I heard something, some possible mentions of a little something on the basketball court. I don't know. You know what I mean? So definitely, guys, if you haven't already, go to Nothing But Knicks and sign up if that interests you to go to the draft party. It's in Atlantic City at the Flagship Hotel. You don't have to stay there, but if you want to go sign up for that and book your room there, so you're good to go. But you can stay anywhere in Atlantic City and just be there at the night of the draft party, and also you could be there the next day if you want to do that too. And that's it. I just want to give a quick shout out to that. I was there last year, and in essence, it's big for me because not only did I have a great time, but that's where I actually got to meet Sim, Tony Crow. I met Isaiah. I met Guillermo. I met Julito McCullum. I met all these guys. I met the entertainer talking sports, my man, Chris. I met all these guys, and that's how this whole relationship forged. And that's how now I get to chop it up with a guy like Andy because of all of that. That one day changed everything.
Shout out, Andy.
What's going on, Andy?
Yo, what up, Ron? What up, Dumpy, Marvin, Soulfinger? It's always a pleasure to be with you guys on. Listen, I'm happy because it's European friendly time. So whenever I can,
I'm like, I do this for you, buddy.
Yeah, especially for me, right? So it's if I don't show up, it will be bad manners for me, right? Yeah.
So I know you've been waiting for a minute. What do you think about everything? I mean, you could touch on anything. You've been waiting for a minute. So what if there's anything that you really wanted to get out, feel free.
I'm glad I got in before Andy because I don't want to follow up behind what he's going to drop.
Yeah, I was going to say I got like 5 questions to answer, right? So yeah, in the first take. So first of all, I'm with Marvin with the if we would have to move D-Rose, I think only place that D-Rose would probably go to Chicago, right? And I think as you know, if I put in the shoes of the general manager of the Bulls, I don't think if I'm looking at D Rose and his salary around 13 million per year, I don't think that's attractive. So if I'm the Bulls, and I don't care if Lonzo's injured, D Rose is also injury prone, and you know we got the guy, the young guy AO, right? That's no, he can fill in, but that's exactly the same situation that the Knicks did, right? We got Kemba injury prone, high risk, high reward. We took D Rose, high risk, high reward, and both got injured, right? And that was the problem. So if they do that thing, they exactly do the same move that the Knicks did. It might, you know, be a other, you know, come out, right? But listen, it's a high possibility that, you know, he won't be able to play, you know, those 75 games, you know, even 70 games as far as I see it. So if I'm any other team in the NBA and I want to, you know, make a trade and cut a deal with the Knicks, I have to have that back in my mind that I will have to, you know, eat that salary of D Rose and basically, you know, waive that dude so he can go whatever he wants. And that will be probably back to Chicago because he won't be able to, you know, come back to the Knicks the same season. So for me, it's like that. So unless someone wants to eat his salary, we won't be able to trade him that into that, you know, city and town. Going back to the draft, because you guys were talking, Marvin was asking the question, what number we would be picking. Listen, the Knicks basically have their hands tied here because we got like 9.4% chances to hop into the top 4. Then we literally have no chances to pick between 5 and let me check correctly, between 5 and 10. We can't, there's no way, there's no possibility that we can pick on the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th spot. We got a 77.6% that we're going to pick as the 11th team. And, you know, and the rest is like 12%, 12.5% is going to be like the 12th seed. And then it's less than 1% that we're going to drop. So taking that in mind, we literally have to look that we would be picking, you know, probably the 11th seed, right? If we hop into that top 4, that's a totally different story. But, you know, listen, it's like 9.5%. So that's really low if you think about it. Yeah, so listen, I think the Knicks will probably invite those guys from the top 4. I don't think those guys will be, you know, participating in workouts for the Knicks because, listen, they're going to have a solid, you know, pack of teams looking at them. So if I'm trying to, you know, work out for the Knicks and thinking, listen, these guys are going to pick 11th unless they, you know, hop into the lottery, I don't think if I'm one of those top guys, I'm going to even work out with the Knicks. But nonetheless, if we, you know, jump up there, there's still two possibilities. You know, listen, I think if we jump into the top 4, I think Jaden Ivey might be a target for the Knicks, or we can literally trade the pick. And that's 2 scenarios that I envision. If we stay at the 11th seed to pick, I'm not going to lie. I think they might pick a guy like Jeremy Sohan. He's a small forward. You know, in college he played a little bit of power forward, but I think he's a versatile dude. None of his skill set is like, you know, far away ahead, I mean, of the others. So he's basically, you know, intermediate on every, you know, aspect of the basketball game. But I think that would be good for him because he would basically play many minutes in the G League. He wouldn't, you know, have that, you know, need to get those minutes on the NBA court. So he would be riding with the team for a season or 2, and then maybe he would have the chance, you know, to play with the Knicks, with the main roster. And I don't think that he would be basically a threat for minutes for a Cam Reddish. Of course, not for RJ and, you know, for the rest of the guys, right? So I think that's a really important thing that you have to take in aspect, that the Knicks literally should shed, you know, a couple of these guys like Burks to, you know, get minutes open for a Cam Reddish, for even for Obi, for, you know, for the guys of the bench. And if you pick a guy that's going to have aspirations to get minutes right away, I think that's a bad ingredient to the whole, you know, roster. And I think a guy like Jeremy Sohan would literally fit in whenever they need him. He would be happy to play, on the Knicks G League team for a season. So I think that might be the idea. But I also envision a situation that we're gonna trade down from that, and a pick like we did with Grimes, like we did with the rest of the guys last season. We're just gonna pick a couple of seeds lower and move those guys to the G League, because I don't see any of these picks from this year's draft to get rotation minutes and the Knicks under Tibbs. And I think Tibbs is staying, so that would probably be the situation.
Yeah, and
Good point.
I'm just gonna pose one more question for Andy. Andy, do you believe that your pick in the draft will determine who stays and leaves on the team? Meaning, if you pick in the draft a small forward, does that mean that your small forwards that are currently on the roster might be moved? Or if you pick a point guard in the draft, does that mean Rose or some of your point guards go? Do you make a pick to determine who you keep or who stays?
Yeah, Marvin, that's a great question. But I think if I'm on the management and the front office, I think I got to pick a guy, like I said before, that is not, aspiring for minutes on the current rotation. If we pick a wing, no matter if it's a small forward or a power forward, I think there's no one in the talent level of a Cam Reddish to get minutes over him. Only guy that I think should and would be moved is Alec Burks. For one, he's a journeyman. For two, I think we need to get him off this Knicks roster. So guys like Quickly, guys like Deuce McBride, guys like D-Rose, when he comes back healthy, is going to take those point guard minutes. If we keep Alec Burks and Tibbs will, use him as a point guard, someone is going to lose rotation minutes, and that's a really bad thing for the guys. Listen, playing a guy in the starting lineup for so many minutes that you're putting him basically out of position, that's a slap to the face for a guy like Cam Reddish, that he's fighting for minutes on the wing, and his guy playing the wing is used as a point guard and he still ain't getting minutes. That's a slap to a guy like, with the talent level of Cam Reddish. So I think, first guy off this team, even before D-Rose, even before Nerlens Noel, it has to be Alec Burks. Alec Burks has to be moved. And listen, I think he's going to get that money that he, literally is guaranteed under the Knicks contract. So I think he will find probably even a better team than the Knicks, because we didn't make the playoffs. I think a playoff team would need and use an Alec Burks with his current contract. So I think he's one of the targets that's going to be easily moved around.
Yeah.
You say that, Andy. I could see like a team like the Clippers, who needed extra ball handling in certain aspects. There's a possibility you can move him for a second round pick or something. You gotta look at what contenders are out there, and that contract being that he signed that 3-year contract with the 3rd year as a team option is really now like a 2-year contract, and he's going into that the 2nd year. That is actually good money, even for Nerlens. Nerlens the same situation. If you want to move him as well, so Nerlens and Burks contracts are really tempting, especially around when the trade deadline comes around. You don't do anything over the summer. You don't do anything during the draft. You can do something before the trade deadline. I do, and I also agree with you that I see us trading back. I see the Knicks trading back. I don't see the Knicks trying to be aggressive and go up, not in this draft. That's kind of like been the move to trade back, and then you get a player that you want with the same skill set. And it also goes down to the dollar amount, because when you're doing that, now you're getting a player with the talents and skill set to meet the need, but you don't have to pay him as much. That dollar amount that'll help down the line to go towards whatever else you want to do in the future. So I can see why, but I just got a feeling we're trading back.
Yeah, and Soulfinger, let me add to this. If, for example, a team out of, for example, the 5th or 6th seed team in a situation that Jaden Ivey would fall, and we could move up, just adding our pick and Alec Burks and a future pick, even a future first round pick from the 23 draft, right? Like we have two first picks. We have our picks and the Mavs pick, right? If we move that pick and still net a Jaden Ivey, I think that's the move to make. And you got to pull that trigger on that one. But unless it's a guy that you really, really want, I think they'd rather move down. And it's really less of a pressure for a guy, for the player and from the front office, because you expect less from a Quentin Grimes, from a Quickly, from a Mitch, right? If they would be lottery picks like Frank was, they would be knocking those guys, literally knocking those guys, because they don't stay on the court. They don't produce. They have the young guys, but they have streaks of hot games, cold games. We would be knocking them. But since they're like second round picks almost, or late first rounders, we got no problem with that, because our expectations was that they're probably not going to get rotation minutes even. So
yeah. And if you didn't mind, Ron, I wanted to pose a question to Soulfinger. Question to you, Soulfinger.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
What do you think? What do you think about the Nerlens Noel contract? And are you guys going to end up eating that contract for Kimball? The Nerlens Noel contract and Kimball.
All right. Well, initially when I saw it, I was surprised actually with the Nerlens contract, because I actually thought he played his way out of New York because of the season he had. Granted, he didn't look as well in the playoffs when we made it, but keep in mind he was playing injured. But he did fill in for Mitch, and he had decent numbers. He put in good numbers. I was, like I said, I was looking for us to let him go. I was looking at other players to come in and fit to come in and take, like a Kelly Olynyk. That was one person I was looking at. You had what's his name bagging up in Utah. That's also he was in Miami. I can't call it. I'm having a senior moment right now. He's Rudy Gobert's back up. It'll come to me. He was, and then also you had Andre Drummond. I know there was a chance we tried to make a move. Yeah, Hassan Whiteside. Thank you. Also there was a trend. We tried to make a move to get JaVale McGee, but Cleveland slid in and snatched it up from LA. That was a trade that was out there, but they took him. So
here's a good one.
That would have been a nice little move right there. I don't think. Now the thing is the fact Nerlens trade. Well, see, this is the thing. If you're looking for Nerlens, if you want to get Nerlens to shed some shed money, then you take him, because his injury, being that he only played like a total of 26 games this season, somewhere around like that, and his injuries that hurt his trade value. However, being that is a 3-year contract with the 3rd year team option, is really a 1-year deal. So if you want to get him up out of the way and shed that money, then you can do it. So it's a possibility you can move that. You can move him, because look what Utah did with Joe Ingles. They got him, let him, they traded him using the last year, and then they got rid of money. The same thing for Kemba. I think Kemba's going to be in that same situation, because it's only 1 year. So a team that's under a salary, in a bad situation with salary, it's a possibility we can get something. We can move both those contracts. I really do think they can happen, and it could be something for us, and it could help us out. And then too, you can put those two in some kind of package deal to get what you got. Because just like Andy stated, we all know we got a lot of draft picks. We're not going to use all those draft picks, so you can, and especially it's a certain player you want to get. Because in this situation, it's a possibility if you want to be aggressive and trade up for Jaden Ivey, or who I was looking at, a Ben Mathurin. That's another player right there. That's a possible good help. You could probably get aggressive, throw him in there, so the team you're trading with, even though it's a bad team, they may want to shed some money, and you can move up or something. Is any way you can go. But those contracts, I do believe, are movable, and they're attractive for teams, because we all know money talks, and the rest walks.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean,
you're right. Now, is it realistic? I'm sorry. One more thing, Ron. Is it realistic that Noel and Kemba Walker can be joined in a package? This one is to you, Ron. Can they be put in a package and get something back in return, half decent?
I mean, of course, you could always. Yeah, you could always find a way to move guys like that, depending on what you're taking back, what type of burden you're willing to put on your team, whether it be financial, a contract, a bad contract that's coming back with the player that you really want, or something like that. There's a way. I don't know if it's going to be the most feasible. I think Donovan Green, yes, put it in the chat that we might have to cut Kemba and buy him out or something like that. That we might have to just outright let him go. We don't. I mean, I don't know. Kemba's not. He doesn't look sexy to a lot of teams out there. They said that there was some interest with Charlotte. Like maybe they might want to bring him back to Charlotte. I don't know if that's true. It could be a smokescreen. Who knows?
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I just want to throw this in. The way I see it, and this is just me. Like I said, there are many other smarter people in the world, and just the way I'm just kind of like my man, like Rob and Nick would say, follow the money. And I'm just gonna be, this is not talking with emotions or whatever. I'm just trying to look at it from a logical and a business point. We're gonna have to buy Kemba out. I can't see anybody just willing to take that. I think before he may get bought out, before he's actually traded and then released to do that.
Yeah.
Nerlens, on the other hand, Nerlens can come back, and it's a possibility he can contribute maybe. So Nerlens looked more attractive than Kemba.
Oh yeah, definitely. Nerlens still has value. It's just he did nothing for us, and it makes the move of giving him that money look bad.
But
the other thing is Nerlens is just another carbon copy of a Mitch type player, which we really don't need on the team anyway. At some point, you got to move on. You can't have 3 centers on your team that can't score.
Same thing, yeah.
Like you gotta mix it up here somewhere. So and we've already seen that unless something changes, Mitch has a chance to be here. I don't think we're going to trade our rook. I don't think he's going anywhere. He played some good minutes for us.
Sims is going to be with us.
That's what I don't think we're going to trade him. I think he's shown enough that he can be a part of the team, in a bench capacity. Maybe he can get some good minutes to spell someone else. But there's no room right now to have Mitch, Nerlens, and Sims. No, this doesn't make any sense. One of those guys got to get out of here.
Yeah, because the sad thing is, if Nerlens would have been healthy, we would have never known what we had in Sims.
It's true.
We never would have known.
And that's not that I don't want to make this a tips thing once again, but that's
yeah. No. But it's just no. I don't even want to go down that road. We've been down that road so many times.
That's the knock that we have, because we only seen people due to injury or due to health and safety protocols. So that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Marvin. Did you want to say something?
No, I was going to let you pose, because I have one more. I'm just going to wait and see what your next subject was before I pose another question, because I had one before I leave, and I think I'll do that last, because I just wanted to. Well, I'll let you go with your next segment, and then before I leave, I'll pose one more question to the panel.
All right. I do have a question after you go, Ron. Well, after you go, Marv, for the whole panel.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I just wanted to say that I wonder if Knicks fans, because I know this is where we get twisted. There's half. I don't want to say it's 50-50, maybe 60-40. There's the 60. I think 60% of Knicks fans want to build with the youth and okay with seeing us progress a little bit at a slower pace, but still keep it moving. Like we want to get better next year, not see what we saw this past year. But there's that 40%. I think it's about 40% out there that is sick of the same old Knicks and wants us to get to some winning. And not that we have to move away from the youth, but they're like, let's bring in some talented guys, whether they vets or whatever, and let's just start winning basketball. So my question to you guys is, do you think that you would be okay if the Knicks just made some marginal moves?
Decision on exactly thing.
Would you be okay with them going out there and acquiring a Tyus Jones and getting like a Kelly Olynyk type, and then maybe whoever they're lucky enough to get from the draft, and basically going from there? Maybe they pull off a trade to bring in some type of role player, and they're able to move Nerlens and get rid of Kimba and possibly Alec Burks or something like that. But that's the team. Like what I just said, you get like a Kelly Olynyk, get like a Tyus Jones, you get whoever you get in the draft, and you got the rest of your players. Derrick Rose comes back, Cam Reddish is healthy. Would you be okay with that type of Knicks team next year? I'm gonna save you, Andy. I'm gonna go first with Don P.
Yeah, I think it would be irresponsible if the team didn't make little marginal moves to propel us forward. Um, I'm in that bracket of Knicks fans who want to see the youth thrive fully, but I'm not invested in all of our youth. If that makes any sense. For instance, we have damaged goods on the team that we need to trade, but given the contracts that they have and the injury histories, it's going to be hard to trade them. And I think one of you guys made a good point saying that, in order for us to get a good player that we want, like what kind of a burden are we willing to take? Are we willing to take a bad contract with a good player? And that goes for other teams. If you look at our team, what is the asset on our team that most teams probably will want? And that's, well, to answer your question, that's what it is. I would like for us to make marginal moves, but my question to you is anybody on the team untouchable when it comes to trades in terms of getting rid of bad contracts and giving away a player such as a RJ Barrett? I know I'm going to be hated for that, but such as a RJ Barrett who's due to get paid next season.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna hold on to your question. I won't forget it. I got that because that's something that we talk about a lot. So it's always going to be there because we gotta think about it.
Elephant in the room.
Okay, I got it. So let's Marvin. What do you think about the would you think this Knicks team, as someone who looks at the team and sees what they got going on, you think that making those marginal moves would be something that you'd be comfortable with as a watcher of the Knicks? Marvin?
Well, I'm gonna say it like that.
Okay, I was like, did I lose him? Damn, he is definitely not happy with this move.
Are you here? Can you hear me, guys?
I hear you. We hear you.
Okay. Well, if you go back and look at what the Knicks did last year, and then you look at what they did this year, I really believe this was an issue with point guard. And if you don't believe that a point guard can really bring your team down, then I don't know what basketball you're looking at. I don't think the Knicks are very far off. I don't think the Knicks are very far off, guys. Now, to tear it down completely and go with the youth, I'm not going to say yay. I'm not going to say nay. But if you look at where the Knicks are, I don't think they need to tear it down. You got pieces. You got movable pieces on the team right now that you can bring back better pieces. I do believe with the right trades or whatnot. I believe the Knicks could add a couple of pieces. Now you do have a couple of decisions to make. One being Mitch. You need a center. If you're not gonna stay on Notice Noel, which I don't believe he's a starting center anyway. I think he's a bench center. I think he comes off the bench. I think that's a position you need to try to address. I think first and foremost, as quiet as it's kept and as loud as it's been, the point guard position has to be addressed, guys. You have to have a point guard. I mean, Ron, me and you have spoke about this so many times, and I know I heard Andy speak about it. That's one of the most critical places on the court. You have to address that point guard issue. So in my eyes, I don't see them. I don't feel that they need to tear it down. I think if you can make, first of all, would you figuring that Randall's going to be moved? Make sure you get something.
In this scenario that I'm mentioning, Randall's not going anywhere.
Okay. All right.
And
so if that's
this is keep in mind, Marvin, this is a high possibility that Randall's not going anywhere. So that scenario that I just mentioned is something that works around Randall being here. You going out and getting a Kelly Olynyk type, it could be him or someone else like him, and bringing in like a Tyus Jones and whoever you get in the draft. This is what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Now, what you saying that if you look at it realistically, Randall gives you numbers. He gives you rebounds. So you're not losing anything. Now, far as the chemistry on the team or him being erratic, you got to deal with that. You still have the same coach. The most important thing, like Andy brings up all the time, you have to make moves to deal with Tibbs. Because if you make moves, just like what Andy's saying about the young players coming in off a draft, they're not going to get any playing time, guys. You might feel you have a great player coming in, but if you got the coach like Tibbs, it's almost a wasted year because I'm not saying he won't do it, but he would have to be hard pressed to do it. So if Randall's going to be on the team, then to me, and I'm saying this to me because, I've always said, hey, man, send him to Chicago. Hey, man, listen, change his scenery for Randall probably do wonders. But if you guys are going to keep him, then that's one piece that you don't have to deal with as far as trying to replace. And I believe a couple of pieces here and there, starting with a point guard, You judge it right there. You start with a point guard that you know is going to be there for the long haul. And if you can add that, use the draft, make your little changes in the pieces like you guys were saying about Bergs in here and Noel's here and try to get something in return. You know now the mistakes you made last year trying to sacrifice offense for defense when you let the pieces go that you did last year and brought in Fournier and Kimber, and it didn't work out properly simply because Kimber's not a kind of liability on defense, and so is Fournier. To try to just address those issues. So I feel that maybe 2 to 3 pieces, keeping it stand packed, going in the draft, getting a necessary piece that probably won't play this year, but can down in the future be a contributing factor. So I don't see them too far off. I really feel like addressing that point guard position, making sure the contracts fit, making sure, first of all, in your take, Ron, making sure Randall wants to be here, wants to be there. I mean, it's another thing in keeping him and he's not happy, and keeping him and he wants to be there and he's going to be happy, because last year's Randall was happy. This year you can tell he wasn't, and you can see the difference in his play. So I don't see you guys being too far off. I think the point guard is the most important issue here, and I think if you address that, I think you guys can carry on to be a pretty good. I mean, even be a lot better, because like I said, and I addressed it earlier, just with Derrick Rose running the show last year, it shows you how different the team can be when you have a top point guard. So
right, okay. Soulfinger, what do you think about that? What do you think about how comfortable would you be? Also to what Marvin was saying, and you're saying it based on what Andy said in the past is very true. You got to think about who your coach is with Tibbs and what he wants to work with, what he's going to do. I do know that if you went out there and brought in Kelly Olynyk and brought in Tyus Jones and you bring in, not the draft pick, I'm not too worried about him, depending on who it is. But definitely Tyus Jones and Kelly Olynyk, that's 2 more guys that Tibbs is going to want to use. So that means Jericho Sims minutes slashed, some other guard, his minutes slashed, because Tyus is going to get those minutes. So, yeah, you definitely know that bringing in those guys means other guys that you saw that you may have liked is not going to play as much. So, yes. But go ahead, Soulfinger.
All right. Well, the one thing, and I got to say, Marvin, you hit Marvin Andy, that's one of the key things right there, and props on you. I don't care what you say, point guard is needed on any team. That is a must. And I'm still at the elk of, and it's still considered, you can say it's a dinosaur way of looking at it. You got to have a point, and you need to have that big man. Those are 2 pieces, and you kind of feel, even though I'm saying you need more wings and everything else, still a firm believer I need that point guard and that center. The point guard drives the car. The point guard puts people in the position they need to go. Now, considering with the coach we have, and you're going out to get a young talent, you might as well forget about seeing that rookie get on the floor because of who Tibbs is. Will he put him on the floor? Yeah, he'll put him maybe if his hand is forced in certain situations. But I wouldn't put much stock in that. Now, Kelly Olynyk is going to take away. So you have to, he's going to take away, but you got to look at who you have on the squad at the time. Randall's not going anywhere. I'm in the mindset of that already. I don't, for many that would like to see him go, and like I said, I have no skin in the game. I do believe, and you know, last season he was happy. He was, you know, he was happier than the fat kid with cake. This season, you know, he's all upset as a little kid who dropped his ice cream. So, you know,
Yeah,
that's
continue.
you know, that's the way it's going. So a lot of it is based off of who our coach is going to be. If you don't have Tibbs as your coach, because of the way he, you know, you looking at different ways, methods of operating and play. But we got to get that point guard to actually see any kind of growth and development, or you know what I mean by growth and development, a direction. Because we've seen what happened without a point guard this season. Alec Burke was playing the point. He's not a point guard. So we just got to make. And I would hate to see a Ben Mathurin. See, okay, and just throw this out there. Say if we did go after we did get aggressive and did land a Ben Mathurin. Now he's on the spot because you're gonna have to play him. You're not gonna see a Ben Mathurin down in the G League. So now you got to move other pieces. So now we're back to the Burks got to go. You're looking at it. Maybe Evan has to go to open up more spaces, more to give guys opportunity. And then you got to look at what about Cam?
Thank you, because I was just about to tell you, Sophie, you got to look at more than that. Because if you're able to get a Ben Mathurin, there's no way on this team you can have RJ, Ben Mathurin, Grimes, Cam Reddish. There's too many of these type of dudes. Yeah. One of those guys got to. I mean, well, I'm just throwing RJ out there, but you know he's not in that mix. But one of those guys got to step up and show himself, and then someone's got to go, because you ain't gonna have Cam and Ben Mathurin. I don't see it.
You're not gonna have you're not. I don't see. You know, my thing is I would rather see. I mean, I think you could do that. Have Cam and Ben.
Oh no, I mean it could happen, but then I think Grimes got to go. Somebody got to go. Not everybody's gonna play.
The person I'm saying is, and really, you do need some veteran presence on the team. You do need a veteran presence, but you have to be with the coach we have. You got to be real strategic and selective on which veteran you're gonna hold on to. I'm of the ilk of get rid of Burks, because if he's got Burks, hey, I'm gonna use a New Jack City quote right there on situation. You remember when Pookie? Hey, you remember when Pookie was in the crack house? He was putting the bags together, right? And he was talking about how it was calling him, right?
Yeah.
He's gonna have Burks sitting on his bench, and you know you need to put in Cam or Ben Mathurin, and he looking at Burks. And he go in his head, Burks keep calling me, and he's scratching his neck like a hype. He's gonna put him in for 30 plus minutes.
Right. Yeah, you got to get him out of here. Get him out of here.
That's why you got to get rid of him.
And Sophie, I didn't want to cut you off, but I wanted to put this out there because it hasn't been mentioned. It's been mentioned. I see it floating in the chat. I didn't bring him up for a reason. I don't think Evan Fournier is going anywhere. I'm just telling you right now.
Yeah.
For what Evan does, remember, I was one of the few people high on Evan last year. Of course, I got a little sour over the year. Andy's been strong with it. I've gotten a little sour, but towards the end of the year, then you start to see who Evan really is. And Evan is a specialty player who does something really well. And I think the Knicks finally see his value and how it's hard. These guys don't exist anymore. The JJ Redicks, the Kyle Korvers, these dudes are out of here. So Evans, he's in that ilk now. I think the Knicks are going to find a way to keep Evan, and that's another person who plays the guard position that you're going to have to play. So all the more reason why you got to figure it out the right way. Sorry, continue. I just wanted to make sure that was out there, because as much as I don't think Julius is going anywhere, I don't think Evan's going anywhere either.
And like I said, I you know what, and all the stuff was going on with Julius, I also feel that he hasn't been totally used correctly, because he's been put in situations where it doesn't fit his skill set per se. The fact that when he hit threes, but come on, man, it got to come a point in time. You as the coach have to tell the man, stop shooting threes. You're shooting us out of the game. Get your big behind down there on the block, go to work. Get that mid range, something like that. You can't keep shooting threes, and that's the problem. Save that for Fournier, but you got, like I said, you have to be selective about what veterans to go Burks will be the first one I hit like Sandman and snatch him off the Apollo stage and get him up out of there. Not because I don't like him, because I do like Burks. It's the fact that Tibbs gonna be like a hike, and he got to get a bump, and I got to put him in over all the other guys.
Right.
And then you dealing with the same situation, so you have to be swift and just go from there. So that's where I'm at. I know I kind of went off the rails, back on the rail. I pulled a G-man in a sense, but
you know what? You did it in honor of G-man. We haven't really heard him too much lately, and I needed somebody to go off the rails just for G-man. That's for you, G-man.
You know, the shout out G-man. But I just say this real quick, because truth be told, I feel that RJ's better suited at the 2.
Mm-hmm.
He's better suited at the 2 than the 3. And you get true small, I don't mind having players that can play different positions, but I'm not trying to get a player that plays his primary is the 2, but you put them at the 3. Mm-hmm. That takes away from him. It helps him, but it really takes away from what he can do.
Right. And I think that also, if the Knicks are able to whether or not they have the guy already on the team, if it's Cam Reddish, say you're able to start Cam Reddish at the 3.
Yeah.
Then RJ at the 2 might be interesting, because now everything he's learned, how he's been more aggressive attacking the rim, he can start bullying those 2 guards, and it might help his game out a little bit more. I don't know. We'll see.
And then you roll in that point guard. Then you roll in the point guard we need, and I'm not going to, I'll just say, like I said, Brunson's been coming out and he's been showing he has some skill sets that we can really need, but I'm not going to say Brunson just because that's the name that's coming on. I'm just saying with a point guard that can direct and get the ball and continue the movement. That's what we need. You have RJ back at the 2. You can put Cam at the 3, or whatever small forward, and go from there. But
right.
you got to take care of them. You got to take care of them hit rocks that Tibbs loves so much, or as I like to say, his blanket, like Linus. You got to take that Woodby away from him, man.
Right. Well, we'll see. Let me get over to Andy, but I will say, we don't know what's going to happen with Brunson, but I'll take a quote from Batman. I might butcher it. I think I already forgot it. Brunson may not be the point guard we deserve, but he's the point guard we need.
Yeah, definitely.
What's going on, Andy? What do you think, brother? What do you think about that scenario of the Knicks going like real minimal, Tyus Jones, like a Kelly Olynyk, whoever we get in the draft, and then just getting rid of some of the dead weight, the Burks, the Kimba, maybe Nerlens, and then rocking with the team that we got?
Yeah, Ron, I'll go 1 mini step back, even worse, because you said that like 60% of the Knicks fan base wants to go young, 40% wants to go for the win now situation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those percentages are so split, like almost in half.
You think it's even closer, huh?
Yeah, that listen, the front office is in a lose-lose situation. No matter which way they go, almost half of the fan base is going to be mad at him, right? So yep. I'm thinking that they literally are going to stick to their kind of a plan that they have. And I think that's the plan that you're talking about, that they're going to make a minor move, try to be flexible on, with the salary and stuff like that. But Ron, at the end of the day, no matter who they bring at the point guard, if it's going to be Tyus Jones, if it's going to be Russell Westbrook, Raymond Felton, Isaiah Bronson from NBK, I don't care who. In 5 months from now, the whole Knicks fan base is going to, go to the drawer, pick up those pink glasses, wear them. Late October, the first game of the season, we're going to watch that game no matter who and what kind of players, what kind of a coach, what kind of a strategy is going to put onto this roster. And we're going to watch that game with hope that the next season is going to be better than what we saw this year. And that's a fact, bro.
Right.
So, like I said, no matter what way we go, we're going to be back here in late October watching that game 1. And, that might be a curse, because if the fan base would be less, split, it would be like 95% are going to be fine with the rebuild. The front office would be like, listen, we don't have to go for the big name. We can roll because the fans are going to be cool with a losing season. Meanwhile, like you said, it's almost like halfway through. It's like 50-50 almost. So Some guys are gonna nag, a move for a major star. Some are gonna, nag a move for Brunson because they have other options. They have other philosophy to rebuild the team. And like I say, I think, for now it's gonna be still adding those assets, not long contracts, unless it's like Randall and it's a larger probably. And I think that's going to be the strategy from now on. We ain't going to see big names unless there's a disgruntled star like probably Donovan Mitchell, but they're not going to give everything that the Jazz want. I think the deal has to be still in favor of the Knicks. What we didn't mention, that the Jazz general manager currently is Danny Ainge.
Right now, yeah, we know who he is.
Yeah, and we know that it's hard to win a trade with him. So, so I think that might be a situation that that there won't be a deal for Donovan on the table, even as far as the Knicks goes, because Leon won't be ready to give up the young guys or a major vast of picks or RJ as a player. And Danny Ainge won't take, for example, a Randall or an Fournier and like a one pick, right? That the Knicks fans would be happy. So, like I said, the Knicks front office is in a lose-lose situation. No matter what they do, fans are going to be mad at them. They're going to be upset. They're going to be, pissed, whatever you want to call it. They're going to be negatively looking at the season, but they will be watching game one of the Knicks next season.
Right.
So true.
I want to give a shout out to my man Cully. Salute to you, brother. Thank you for tuning in as always. Shaw Powers said, if you can move Burks, Kemba, Noel for Hayward and also move Evan and Rose to make space for Brunson. That's interesting. Listen, if the Knicks are willing to wheel and deal, I'm not opposed to it. I'm not a big on Gordon Hayward. I'll be honest with you. I've never liked, no, that's not true. I don't want to say I've never liked Gordon Hayward. His game, yes. I just never liked the fact that he's always hurt. My biggest pet peeve is acquiring guys that have injury prone attached to their name. I don't get it. I don't know why I know why teams do it. They gamble. Like they're hoping that, hey, we get him here. We put him in a nice conditioning program. He eats right, takes care of his body, and we get the best of it. But a lot of times that don't happen. It's a crapshoot. Once in a blue. Like a guy who was on the road to that when he first came into the league as a young player was Steph Curry. Steph Curry had horrible ankles, couldn't stay healthy. Somehow the Warriors worked with him. They got his conditioning right. They built him up. He had strength in those ankles. And then he was a healthy, successful star player for them for quite some time. Now, as he's getting a little older, you're starting to see him. Those health things are starting to creep up again. Now he's coming off the bench. Not that matters. I'm just saying, like, all these different things to kind of preserve him and use him differently, but he still gives them great value. But this is like, it's lightning in a bottle. You got to be lucky if you can catch somebody who's used to being hurt and they all of a sudden are healthy. I just don't like those guys. That's me personally. But I understand where you're saying with the moves and how you could free up space and free up some money to be able to kind of make room to get a Brunson and stuff like that. So I understand that. Back to you, Andy. Go ahead.
Yeah, Ron. With making the moves to open cap space for us to sign Brunson straight up, I think it's a bigger probability for us to jump into the top 4 seed in the lottery than making that happen. Why? Because listen, there literally is 7 teams in the NBA that have open cap space, right? And imagine being a general manager of one of those teams. You have a pool of free agents that you can pick from and add whatever, basically using just the salary cap space. So why would you help the Knicks by taking a guy that they don't want, a Burks, a Kemba, a Noel, to get them free open cap space, right? So unless we trade those guys for a worse contract, a longer contract, and the salaries have to match, it literally can be a 10% difference. So you ain't gonna move those guys and get like 50 million of free cap space or even 20 million of free cap space just to sign, Brunson straight up. And if Dallas doesn't want to make a sign and trade, I don't see us, being able to sign him up from free agency, because there's no way that we can dump Burks, dump Kemba, dump Noel for anyone just to not have a worse contract than those guys coming back.
Right. Unless Andy, which I don't know about the salary cap when it comes to sign and trades per se. Can you do a sign and trade where you include a third team?
Yeah, of course.
So that might be an option, that they figure out a way to work with Dallas, and Dallas can get something from someone else.
Yeah, but Ron, still, what's the deal for the third team? If you're taking the best piece of the deal,
well, no. But in the third team, because here's the thing. The funny thing is, the Knicks got so little from certain players last year that we're paying money to. Like we got a little something from Kemba, but obviously not what we want. But we got nothing from Nerlens, right? And then if say you're able to package a deal where it's 4 players, say it's Kemba, Nerlens, Burks, who's a serviceable player who can contribute to some team, and then you add some young guy with potential. I don't know who that could be, guys. It might be a guy that people don't want to see part with. It could be a grind. It could not RJ. Not RJ. It could be even be Mitchell Robinson. It could be a Mitch, right? You send those guys, like figure out who goes where, but maybe Mitch goes to Dallas, right? And then whoever the third team is, right? That third team, maybe they get a couple of the other pieces, 2 of the other pieces that I mentioned. But from them, because the thing is, when we got so little from some of these players, there's a guy on one of these teams that gives you value, but his contract is like he's gouging them. He's making way too much money. But even then, he's still a better player than the guys we're giving up because he's a good player. He's overpaid. There might be a guy like that the Knicks can bring back, who's a serviceable NBA player, but just has a really bad contract for the team. That's the only way I could see us doing it in that way. I don't know how else they could do it.
Well, Ron, I envision if you're talking about 3-team deals, and the name of Brunson or Donovan Mitchell, right? If, for example, you are looking at the Jazz and the Mavs, they literally had ended just the playoffs, so it was series between each other. So it's hard to see them working in the offseason with a trade, right? But putting those that beef whatever happened aside, listen, the Mavs for a couple of years now are looking for an upgrade at the center position, right? That's why I mentioned before the trade deadline, if Mitch ain't staying, try to sign Mitch or put a deal up for Brunson. And, because both of the teams have bird rights, so they can go over the cap to sign him and take the guy back. What would put the Mavs over the salary cap by making that move, because they're literally now over the salary cap. So if they take back a deal in a sign and trade, they would be probably in the salary cap, probably even hard cap, right? So they would, but I don't think that's a problem for Cuban to pay millions of dollars, that additional tax. But they won't be flexible as far as roster moves. They might fill in that roster spot with for example, Mitch Robinson. But what the rumors are that they're looking at Rudy Gobert. And listen, if they would be hard cap, then I'd rather be hard cap and have a guy, a defensive stalwart like Rudy Gobert, than a young guy like Mitch Robinson along Luka and the roster that you're basically capped out.
Right.
Then again, how what would the Jazz want if they are going to give up an all-star and Rudy Gobert to the rivals like the Mavs, and the other second best player in the deal would go to the Knicks? So imagine the haul that the Jazz would want from the Knicks and the Mavs for Rudy Gobert, right?
Yeah.
Unless the Jazz are just gonna try to tear it down, and they're gonna take a pile of picks for the future, like 4 first-round picks, and they're going to be happy with it. So then a guy like a Nerlens Noel, a Kemba Walker, Alec Burks, are just going to be numbers, to make the trade work salary-wise, right? And they're short contracts, so that would be their role in this situation, and they would have to go literally for a couple of years of a rebuild mode.
I see a point. That's true. I mean, honestly, if I was Dallas and Mark Cuban, I would not do the Rudy Gobert thing because of what you have to give up to get him. I would personally rather take on a Mitch because you already proven you can beat them with your current team, right? So getting a Mitch gives you another piece of value that you don't have. He's a great offensive rebounder. He can give you something on the defensive end. Hopefully, he gets even better. And you don't have to worry about mortgaging good players that you have that helped you get to the second round. So I would much rather do that. I hope it just doesn't seem smart. It seems like you're doing too much to try to acquire more high priced talent that's going to leverage your team. So I wouldn't do that. I just would avoid.
Ron, then again, listen, if he doesn't get nothing for Brunson, he won't be able to sign a great center to that roster because nobody's gonna go to the Mavs to play with Luka for like $6 million next season for the mid-level exception, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for me, them saying that they won't cooperate on a sign and trade, it's gonna be a bad general management move. Because they won't be able to sign someone from the free agency pool. So, listen, as far as I see it, they're going to do it. They're just saying that they won't, but they're looking for that perfect deal that they will be, winning for that, right? So,
Right.
and there's not literally many teams that can pull off a trade with the Mavs and a sign and trade deal that the Mavs would like the comeback, like Mitchell Robinson, even, right? There were more even fans, even panelists from NBK said that maybe Julius Randle would go to the Mavs. Listen, he's a Dallas guy, might be a good move for him.
Mm-hmm.
Then again, if you're gonna have a guy like Julius and Luke on one team, listen, if there's something brewing down there, that might be a bad move, chemistry wise, right? So that can blow up fast, and then you're still stuck with the money, not flexible. So that would be a crazy move. But at this point, I think Julius Randle has way more value than the Mitch Robinson, right?
I agree with that. And actually, you know what? Listen, Dallas looks interesting when it comes to Julius because even though Julius is like a time bomb, he's ticking a little bit, but he also could be very happy in Dallas. He could respect a guy like Luka, who he knows is one of the best players in the league. And Luka may say, you know what? And let's not forget, Julius Randle is a very good rebounder. So, he does what he does, and he can score the bucket. It might be a really good match for Julius. And I think it's one that if the Knicks are trying to move Julius at some point, they got to look at. So I don't know. It's not bad. Don P, I see. Were you heading out?
Nah. On a private chat, I just wish the brother, what's his name, Soul.
Oh, Soulfinger. Oh yeah. No doubt.
I wish him a farewell. That's all.
Yeah. Appreciate it. Thank you, Soulfinger, for joining up. And I didn't forget about your question. So now I guess I'll start. Let me ask Andy real quick. So do you think there's anybody on the Knicks that's untouchable as far as trades?
Listen, let's imagine a situation that they offer, they want RJ, right, from the Mavs, and they're willing to give up a guy like Luka. You can't say no to that deal. so as far as I see it, nobody's untouchable. But if you're asking me to put the guys on the list from the most untouchable, I think RJ is at top of the list.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. What do you think, Marvin? You agree?
Yeah, I agree with that. I think RJ is a building block that you can start with. I think the Knicks have that in mind also. And I don't think he's untouchable, just like in the same sense I've heard plenty of times that Knicks might be interested in Zion Williamson. Well, if a lot of Knicks fans think that you're going to get Zion, you can rest assured that the Pelicans are going to be looking for RJ. Now, are you ready to make that trade? And I guess with all the draft picks that you guys have, if you want to get a Zion, you probably could. But as far as untouchables on the team, the only one that I would feel that would be untouchable is RJ. But it's like, and I go back to Andy's take. hey, if you get the right player in return, nobody's untouchable. And I believe that to be true on just about any team.
I
If
agree
you're
with
trying
that.
to better, if you're trying to better your team, then you want to bring in better players. Now, to get rid of RJ for Zion, I don't know. Is that a better play? I mean, is that a better player coming for RJ? Well, with the situation that's going on with Zion, who I wouldn't say it's up in the air, but it's shaky. But far as untouchable, I don't think none of them are untouchable. But if you're trying to build something and start and just be realistic, you do want to keep RJ. So I would say
Right.
RJ would be the only one on the team that would probably be untouchable at the time.
Right. Well, and salute once again to the chat. Salute Deron Wayne. Good to see you, brother. Salute Justin King. And that would be like a nightmare. Imagine the Mavs win the chip with the ex-Knicks players and they have a point guard in Luka. Oh no, that's horrible. I didn't want to think about that. That would be worst case scenario. I agree. I think RJ is probably the one piece that I might say is untouchable. And I might lean a little bit more to keeping guys like IQ and OB if I could, but I would trade them. Don't get me wrong. But here's the thing. Here's the question. What if the Knicks aren't able to do anything really significant this offseason and Utah Jazz comes to the table and says, listen, they're not going to get into the whole situation, but maybe they got a bad marriage. Maybe the thing between Gobert and Donovan is not something that's fixable. And Donovan's already mentioned to them, listen, I don't want to be here. Maybe Utah comes to the Knicks and says, look, we'll give you Donovan. You give us these players. We want Burks. We want Grimes. We want a pick or two. And we want RJ.
In a heartbeat.
You know what I mean? What are you going to do? What am I going to say here? I love RJ.
I don't even like Donovan. Donovan from where I'm from. Like I respect his game, but again, I don't think he's a true point guard, and that's what we need. But again, RJ, to me, this is the fear that I have with him as far as Knicks fans go. He doesn't suck. At his very best, I think he will be a serviceable starter shooting guard, a 2, not a 3, a 2. But I don't see him being a star. What I fear from us as a team is we're gonna pay him as if he's a star, and I don't see that in his future. And I don't know about y'all, but I'm tired of overpaying players based off how we value them as fans. So I mean, I would trade him because his contract is coming up soon, and it's either pay him or trade him. It's one of those things.
Well, You know what, Don Pete? But before you go, Marvin, I'm gonna hit you with a Tony Crow. I agree with you, but then I disagree with you.
Okay.
I agree that RJ is not the superstar player.
Yeah.
And I don't think he'll be a superstar player. But I do think RJ is going to be a star. He's 21 years old, and what he's shown me so far leads me. He's on the trajectory of what I expect him to be. Every year he keeps getting better. Is he still inconsistent? Yes. Is there still things he can work on? Yes. But the fact that he's improved so much every year, say what you will. Yeah. Is he a great free throw shooter? No. Do I think this year coming up, is he going to focus on free throw shooting and is he going to be better? I think he will. Maybe there's something else that takes a little bit of a back seat. This year, we noticed he started off as a really good defensive player. As the year progressed, his defense started to go down. Do I think he'll focus more on that next year? I do. His three-point shooting took a turn this year. Do I think it'll get a little better? Maybe a little bit better, but I think he's going to focus more on his mid-range shot and his free throw shooting. And I think that will be a big key for him. But I just think that RJ, by the time, I keep saying this, he's 21 now. I think by the time RJ Barrett is 23 years old, he's going to be a star in the league. Superstar, I don't know if that's in his future. But you could be a very good star player in the league, have a really good NBA career, and be, something that teams, who's a star player he's washed now, but he was a star player for many years, and he averaged around 20 plus points. Wesley Matthews. Wesley Matthews was a star player at one point.
Compare him too,
yeah. And now he's washed, okay, but he was a star player for many years and he put up really good numbers. And RJ Barrett could have that type of trajectory. And as long as you build around with the right pieces, it works. But if you stay thinking RJ is going to be your end all be all, and that's the guy you're going to depend on for everything, I don't think that's going to work. Andy, you were going to say something?
Yeah, because Ron, I got to jump out, but I want to answer this question. Listen, for me, this is not a really clear cut situation. For me, I would have to see what kind of a contract extension RJ asks for, because if he will take 100 or like 125 million for 5 years as an extension, I think I'm going to stay with RJ. But if he asks for 100, 150 or the max and 183, I think you got to trade him for Donovan Mitchell. Because it's like you guys said, you don't see the ceiling as high as Donovan Mitchell, that you know what his ceiling is, right? So you really have to cross your fingers and hope that RJ is going to develop all those things, right? Meanwhile, Donovan Mitchell, already you saw that last season in the playoffs. You saw that, years before, right? So, and I think, mentally, both guys are really going to be comfortable in New York. RJ is like, if you look at his, mind situation and his, he's comfortable with answering these media guys. If he gets bad games, he's getting bashed and he's, ready to answer. He takes the blame on him. He's not afraid for that the fans are going to bash him. That might change though. If he gets that extension, the targets is going to move from Julius onto RJ. Question is if he's going to be, so media and fans friendly, if the tides are going to turn on him. So that's my answer to this question. If he's willing to sign a team-friendly extension in 100 million or up to 120, 25 million for 5 years, I'm going to keep RJ over Donovan Mitchell. But if he asks for 150 or 180, the max that he can get, I don't think he's going to, be that player worth that money. That's why you gotta trade him.
Right.
In that situation.
And I just wanted to say something real quick. I don't want anybody to kill me. I was a little bit wrong. Sometimes you forget some of these players. I remember Wesley Matthews being a really good NBA player.
I was gonna say, bro, you reached there. You
know what I mean? I took a look at his numbers, and I think he averaged a little bit less than I expected. So a better comparison would be a healthy Gordon Hayward. A healthy Gordon Hayward averages around 20 points a game. So that's who I'm thinking about. Let's go there.
Mark always says that RJ is Luol Deng. So
Luol Deng, that's interesting.
Andy, before you go, Andy, I just want to say a couple of things. If I was looking at the numbers of RJ and Donovan Mitchell. Now, mind you, Donovan Mitchell came in the league. First year, he averaged 20. Second year, 23. Third year, 24. 26. And then this year, 25. RJ came in the league. He averaged 14, 17, and 20. He's trending upwards. Now, if you look at Donovan Mitchell, out of 5 years, he started first year at 20. This is his fifth year. He's averaging 25. Is the upside the difference in this and the contract also? Now, I understand, and I want to say this before you answer the question too, Andy. The signing or not signing of RJ is a big key to the Knicks' success on who they're going to bring in return on the other side also. But I just want to throw those numbers to you, Andy. I'm going to say them one more time. Donovan Mitchell, first year, 20 points a game. Second year, 23. Third year, 24. Fourth year, 26. This year, 25. RJ, first year, 14. Second year, 17. This year, 20. Who's trending better? And RJ is younger. And if you think that RJ, I'm going to ask this. Do you think he's hit his ceiling? I don't. So I just want to throw that question to you.
Yeah, Marvin. Listen, for me, definitely he didn't reach his ceiling. Question is, I think Donovan Mitchell is, saying that he's more talented might be the case, and I could probably argue this, that he's more talented than RJ because the game of basketball comes way easier for him than it comes from RJ. I think RJ is really, really methodical. He needs to work on every bucket. He needs to, he's at this point of his career, he's limited, offensively even, right? So I think that's the thing, that RJ is maybe less talented. He might be harder working than Donovan Mitchell even. Question is if that development, if he reaches, for example, the 23 points, isn't gonna slow down as far as rising with the numbers things. And listen, he averaged 20 points this year, but listen, the last couple of games he was chucking the ball, he was missing bunnies, he was literally going for those 20 points per game average for the end of the season, and the efficiency was terrible for me. Terrible. And I'm not saying that that wasn't his mindset. That might have been a situation. The situation might have been different if we had Randall and if we had a better season, because he would gladly take the 19 if we make the playoffs. Question is, if he puts himself over the team, that's his ego over the team. I think probably not at this point. But listen, if that's going to be the case, then that's also a con for me, a minus for RJ. I think you gotta be as team friendly as possible at this point in the rebuild for the franchise. So
yeah. Okay.
I wanted to add to. Well,
go ahead, DB.
Yeah, Don P.
I hear a lot about RJ ceiling. When you think about Cam Reddish's potential, a lot of people say Paul George, and I know that for good reason. You look at his height, his width, his potential. You look at his skill set, what he can do defensively, offensively. Just going into the league, you can see what his ceiling is. The thing is with RJ, what kind of player is he? Is he a finesse player? Is he athletic? Is he a shooter? What is he? What kind of player is he? Is he cerebral like Kobe? And that's the thing. Like when you think about these things, do we really know what kind of player he is? Or is he just getting it done? Is he the jack of all trades, master of none?
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, that's the thing. That's a good point. Like, what is he like? It's tough. I mean, but I think Marvin did make a great point. I mean, his upside and the way he's going right now, it's nice trending, and it's a nice trend, should I say? And it definitely looks good. And the fact that he's 21, Donovan Mitchell is 25, and we see where he's at.
Well, before you go on, Ron, I just wanted to say this, and then you can go on. And also, guys, I want you to just take this in consideration. Is his upside and the ability of him hampered, or is it helped by the coaching staff? Is Tibbs the right coach for him? Would his ceiling be higher with a different coach, with a different offense being ran? Is a question I have.
I think I would say yes, and I don't know. The I don't know is I don't know if he'd be better served under a different coach, because he feels real comfortable with Tibbs, and he feels like Tibbs has helped his game and his development. And what I've said before is I'm not totally against what Tibbs does. Some of the stuff Tibbs does, I think, is really good. And I think Tibbs knows a way to get the best out of the guaranteed players, like the players that is going to do something, like a RJ or a Randall. He knows how to use those guys. I think he runs into problems when it comes to guys that are unknown, that we may say, oh, these guys got talent. Tibbs don't see it automatically, and there's certain things that they still need to work on. I don't think Tibbs is really good at developing and using those guys. But the guys who are given a third pick in the draft with RJ and a Julius Randle, I think he knows how to use them and how to get good stuff out of them. I will say that I think he was using RJ wrong early in the season, and when he decided to use him more in open space in the middle of the floor and allow him to have those windows where he can make more decisions and be aggressive, I think that was something that was a mistake early. But whatever. I would say that RJ by the time he's 25, could be just as good as Donovan Mitchell. Maybe he won't have that explosion, but maybe he's a craftier scorer. Maybe his shot making ability is better than Donovan. Donovan's a pretty good three-point shooter. He's streaky. When he's on, he's good. But maybe RJ becomes a better mid-range shooter. And he works on improving his free throw shooting so he can get to the level of Donovan, because Donovan's a good free throw shooter. If he does that type of stuff, then I could see. What were you going to say?
I said I'll take that. I most certainly agree with you. When I look at his potential, I'm not thinking in terms of his physical, his move set, because I don't think he's gonna get any better in terms of his physical profile. Like, he's not gonna jump any higher. He's not gonna get.
Oh no, yeah, no, that's not. If anything, it gets worse. It's not gonna get better.
Right. So I think if anything, his IQ could get better. You know what I mean?
Right. And I was gonna say the one big thing that he does have over Donovan that also can improve is defense. On the defensive end, RJ's a better defender than Donovan. Maybe he got a little caught up in what he was doing this year, trying to score more, trying to get that 20-point mark, and he took some possessions lightly, the way he shouldn't have. But he can. That's why I say he could be just as good as Donovan by the time he's 25, the way Donovan is now, because RJ can become a better scorer. He can average around 23, 24 points a game. He could be a better, more efficient shooter and still bring you that defense. He can get better at defense. So that's where I look at it, like from that standpoint.
And that's what I want to go back to when I brought up Tibbs. Well, he's a defensive-minded coach, guys. And that's what I mean by where is his upside? Because he's already, to me, he's bringing RJ up on the defensive side of the ball. I'm looking at his numbers here. He gave him more shots this year. Last year he shot first year 13, this year 14. I mean, last year 14, and then this year he shot 17 shots a game. So what I'm thinking is this, guys. Under the tutelage of Tibbs, he's already kind of molded him into that pretty decent defensive player. And I'm not saying that Tibbs is hampering him on the offensive side. I just think RJ's upside, and just like going back to what Ron just said, at 25, with him only being 21, I think every year he's going to progress and get better. So I just say that I don't know, I'm up in the air about the Donovan Mitchell deal, because he's unproven as a point guard. And in New York, he might seem like away from New York right now that he can handle the pressure, but who knows? And will he perform the same way? Will he perform under Tibbs in this way? These are questions that need to be answered. And I think with RJ already being there, being tested by Tibbs and running through the Tibbs system, I think he's going to progress pretty good, guys.
Mm-hmm. I could see that. Shout out to, I think I forget if I mentioned you already, Keyshawn, but definitely shout out to you. Shout out to Knicks 100, and shout out to Brian Williford, and shout out to my man Paris Duggar. Yeah, and I agree with you. That actually is huge. If Paris, you're right. If RJ Barrett can work on his free throw percentage and get that free throw percentage up to around 80%, 82 might be tough for him, but if he can get up to 80%, that's huge for him. Look, and the fact that he's starting to go to the line a lot more now. I'm not sure, what else he can really do other than that, because I think his game has improved a lot. I think he's developing much better on his own. He knows what he has to do to get better. That's one thing you got to love about RJ. His spirit, his will, the way he looks at basketball, the way he is unselfish. He was just raised right, and he had the right people around him with his father and Steve Nash, and he just gets it, man. That's why I like him. As much as I want this team to improve, I feel like RJ is the heart and soul of the Knicks. Like, I feel weird looking at the Knicks team without RJ on it. So I want to keep him, and I want the Knicks to build with him. I just want him to continue to improve, and I think he's got the youth on his side, and he's got the work ethic and the mindset to continue to improve. So I think RJ will be fine. We just got to figure out how to put better pieces around this team, healthy pieces that can play, and smart IQ basketball players, man. Let's just, cut it out. Cut it out.
I'm going to agree with you about his tangibles. You can't teach that mindset that he has. You know what I mean? You can't teach none of that. So and that's just the thing though. Our team currently has what? Evan Fournier, RJ Barrett, what's his name? Burt, what's his Alec Burks, and Emmanuel quickly to a degree. He's, we all can agree he's not a full-fledged point guard. He's a combo guard. You know what I mean? His style is more suited all through his life as more towards the two position. As far as RJ Barrett goes, man, you can't teach his mental. I love that about him. I really do. So again, in terms of improving, if his IQ can get better and if he can improve on his free throws, no doubt he would be worth, any amount of money he can ask for, because he does get to the line a lot. He does. Yep. But because of his poor free throw percentage, not just because of that, but if it wasn't for his poor free throw percentage, we probably would have won a lot of more games. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, I agree. Listen, if RJ shot around 80% from the free throw line, RJ would be averaging around 21, 22 points this season. And he might have even had a chance to, he would have had all-star consideration. I don't know if he would have made it, but he would have been considered. That's how big the free throw shooting is for what he was doing this year, how aggressive he was, getting into the lane. He missed a lot of free throws. So yeah,
let me touch on that, Ron. You said 80%. He shot at a clip of 71%. I think you're gonna add 3 points to that, which means he would have been averaging 23 points a game. Now, with that jump, and then also once you start shooting good free throws in a clip like that, guys don't want to foul you. You tend to, your game evolves a little better. So I think with him, and then he's still young. See, we're looking at his years, guys. He's only 21 years old. He might have 3 years in the league, but he's only 21 years old. So I think his upside is way up. And I'm just, in my eyes, I just see him as a piece on the Knicks that they shouldn't try to move. I think not unless you get somebody like a Zion or just something that's outrageous like a Luka or something, then you do. But besides that, I just don't think I just don't think, because it's upside that I see in it, I think you should hang on to it.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. Well, guys, listen, I'm gonna get ready to wrap up, but I wanted to ask you, because I know you had mentioned before, Marvin, you had a question. Did you answer did you get your question?
No, I wanted to pose it to you and DP right now. I wish it was more guys on the
panel. Go ahead, man.
My last question to you guys was this, and for you first, DP. I want to know who you would love as a superstar coming here realistically. Now, let's not be, we got to make sure these things can work. Who in the league would you like to see on this team? And the second question I have, give me your grades from the coaching staff, front office, and players of this year. Well, I'll start by saying this because I want to address this question by progression. Let's start off by the question by being this. Last year's grades on the Knicks front office, coaching staff, and players. And this year's grades on coaching staff, front office, and players. And then who would you want for the next year coming up to be your big splash coming in for the Knicks?
Well, I thought we already answered that, Marvin, not too long ago on one of these shows. The front office grades and the coaching staff.
Oh yeah, I think I did. I thought I did it on a different show. Yeah, I hadn't got DP's answer to that though, because I had
we didn't touch too much on the players because it's tough because there's a lot of guys to go through. But we did do front office and coaching staff. I remember because that was the show. We had an incredible panel. Sim was here and other guys were here.
That's right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But I say this then. Question: who is your big splash player, superstar, free agent that you would like to have on the Knicks? To both of you guys.
Well, you can go ahead, Don P. I'm thinking about mine.
You said who would be a superstar splash player? You mean like a player that's dynamic on the Knicks that'll make a splash on the Knicks?
Yeah, well, the player that you would like, the player you yourself would like to come to the Knicks.
I would love D'Angelo Russell on the Knicks, honestly. I would love him on the Knicks, honestly. Him and I think that we're undervaluing somebody that we already have on the team who I believe personally who's the second most talented person on the team, other than what's his name, Julius Randle, I'll say Cam Reddish. If we give him just as much as an opportunity that we gave RJ Barrett, then he could be that player for us. I believe he could. He could be.
So
D'Angelo Russell.
I don't mean to go against the D'Angelo Russell thing, but you don't think maybe D'Angelo Russell is a little unaggressive? Because I've seen him, like, sometimes he just goes into this role as he's a facilitator. He tries to move the ball around, but he doesn't look like he goes for his shot a lot. And I think for a guy that when he was coming out of college, we thought he was going to be special, a dude who could light it up, who had that type of shot. He's very inconsistent for me.
Remember that Brooklyn one he had?
Yeah, no, I remember. I definitely remember.
Yeah, he literally carried a bad Brooklyn team on his back, just with him alone. I think with D'Angelo Russell, he came out of college as the best passer in his draft class. Smoothest player, ain't the best passer in his draft class. So, what you're saying is absolutely true. Yeah, if he's, I don't know, because when he was on Brooklyn Nets, he was more aggressive.
Right.
When he was on Minnesota Timberwolves, he kind of deferred more to, Anthony Edwards and Cat or whatever. But I just think that with his shooting skills, with his passing skills and his ability to play point guard, and the fact that he's 6'6", besides the defense, I mean, Alec Burks, he came into the team, he wasn't known as a good defender. Under Tom Thibodeau, he became a competent defender under Tom Thibodeau. So I think the same could be said for somebody like D'Angelo Russell, to be all the way honest with you.
Right. I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't love D'Angelo Russell. I'm not against him. I don't love him, but I just think that it's interesting. It's a possibility, and maybe in a situation where he comes to a team and he can be a similar option, but you don't have to worry about deferring because you got other star guys. Because remember, in Minnesota, like, Anthony Edwards is a diva. He wants to be the man. He will be the man there going forward. And then you got Cat, who's another dude who wants to be the man and feels like he is the man. And so that's tough to deal with. Coming to the Knicks, we don't have that guy here.
Right.
Julius Randle can't say he's the man right now after what we saw this season. And he doesn't necessarily, to me, act like your basketball play got to step up and prove that you're that guy. Right. So, and then RJ's a humble guy. He's not there yet. So really, if he came here, he would be a big piece.
He'd be a big piece. And D'Lo was known to take over games in college, single-handedly take over games in Ohio State. And he did it also in Brooklyn. It's just that when he's playing with other guys who stars, he tries his best to be more of a traditional point guard as opposed to the new age point guards. And I think that's something that we need.
Well, I mean, listen, if things were to shake up and that's what we would wind up with, would I be upset at seeing something like D'Lo, Cam Reddish, and RJ, and then Randall and Mitch? No, I wouldn't be upset about it. I mean, I still think the Knicks need to continue to acquire some talent and change what the team looked like, but I wouldn't be upset with it because he would be better than any other point guard we had. He is a good passer. He has his moments where he can get 9 assists on a game. I've seen him get a little higher than that on occasion. So yeah, he's not horrible. But it would have to be the right fit. And just to the point, like Keith Turner said, D'Lo got exposed for real. I would say that it's tough, man, because the playoffs, and this playoffs first round especially, has been very eye-opening. But you can't look at it too crazy because a lot of guys didn't look that great. Donovan didn't look that great in the series. DeMar DeRozan didn't look that great in the series. D'Lo had moments that he didn't look that good in the series. I'm thinking of other guys. Trae Young didn't look that good in the series. So there's a lot of guys who are star players, if you will, that had moments that didn't look great. And you got to look at the matchups. You got to look at the schemes. all this matters in the playoffs. And the other thing is, don't forget, in the playoffs, the refs are allowing these guys to be more aggressive on the defensive end. They're getting up on these guys, and they're not calling the fouls as much. So you look at it that way, and you got to say, okay, I'm going to take it with a grain of salt. But there's definitely been some eye-opening things. I agree with you there. And I do think that D'Lo, to me, needs to be a little bit more aggressive. But I understand in his current situation, it's tough with those two dudes over there. So
who would be your splash player? I don't know if you answered that already.
No, I think I mean, honestly, if I had a guy that I really would want to be on the Knicks, it would probably be DeJounte Murray. Like, I would want him here because of what he does on the defensive end, most importantly, and secondly, what he can bring as far as that size and the rebounding from the guard position, as well as his great court vision and the way he can do, gets his assist off. And even though he's not a good shooter, he's a good scorer. He knows how to get to the basket. He's one of the tops in the league at getting into the paint. And he's got a pretty good mid-range shot, and he shoots free throws fairly well. So, yeah, I definitely think that would be a guy that I would love for them to get. I don't know. It's like fool's gold. And no problem, Marvin. I totally understand, brother. It was great to have you on. Thank you as always. Appreciate chopping it up with you. So yeah, I mean that's kind of what I think. This first round of the playoffs is really funky, man. It definitely made certain guys look bad in certain situations. But even though I don't like Trae Young, I'm not gonna. I understand that Miami locked this dude up. Okay, he's undersized. Miami's a great defensive team. They threw all types of bodies at him, and these guys play good defense. And they just had a great game plan for him.
And that's the one thing that I'm worried about when Jalen Brunson's name come into the fray. When I think of a 6'1" point guard, I'm not thinking of somebody who's necessarily a dog who's aggressive and getting his points. I'm thinking of somebody who's cerebral, like Chris Paul, so to speak. You don't have many Chris Pauls in the league,
right?
I mean, there's only like one Chris Paul. The closest person, and you could disagree if you want, to a Chris Paul, in my opinion, who's 6'4" to me, is John Wall in terms of orchestrating the offense. You know what I mean? But as far as Jalen Brunson goes, when you look at teams like the Raptors, that's kind of like the team in the future. When you look at their length, and you see their point guards, their shooting guards, their small forwards, it's going to be tough. If we get like a 6'1" point guard who's not really cerebral like that, I'm not saying Jalen Brunson is not. I just look at his game and I don't see it in the cards, especially for that price. You know what I mean? But yeah, that's where I'm coming from with it, man. But I appreciate you for letting me use your platform to get mine off. Hey, man, it's been a pleasure, man. I had fun doing this. Shout out to you. Shout out to the chat. You know what I mean? And yeah, that's all I got to say, man. Yo, peace and love, G.
No problem, Don P. Listen, man, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for joining up. You're welcome anytime. And if you haven't already, you know what? You're welcome to check out our other shows. Myself and John have our weekly podcast that we do on Monday nights. Usually we do a recap of the Knicks games for the week, and we do a prediction of what we think they'll do the following week. I mean, the upcoming week. But right now there's no Knicks games, so the content's going to change. It's going to change into more of an interview type show. We'll be bringing people on with us, and chopping it up that way. And then also you could check us out on the NBK, Nothing But Knicks Network, when we do the NBA report on Thursday nights. So, thank you for being here, man. It was great talking to you.
Well, do salute, G.
All right, brother. So thank you guys once again. It's been a fun show. Appreciate everybody who came on to chop it up with me. Jay Boogie, Andy, Marvin, my man Don P, first time. Appreciate him. Soulfinger, pleasure as always. Thank you guys in the chat for holding me down, man. You guys really make, you drive the show, man. Parrish Thugger, Keyshawn, Rayology, all you guys, C-Mac, you know who you are, man. The list goes on and on, man. Thank you guys for adding. Thank you to my cohort there, John. Appreciate you, brother. Yeah, man. Thank you guys. I hope for the best with this Knicks team. There's going to be a lot of talk, a lot of speculation. We don't know what's going to happen. We can have, wishful thinking, man. We can hope for the best and hope that they turn it around and bring in some good talent. Like I said, to me, I'm happy with if they make a splash and bring in somebody who's dynamic, can take us to the next level. I'm also happy if they just get rid of some of the weight that I think is dead weight, and then maybe do an upgrade over somebody like Alec Burks and bring us in someone else who's a little bit more, dynamic for the team, and go from there, man. And then also we got to make a change when it comes to our bigs. Get somebody, we can have Mitch here. We can have Sims here. But we can't have Mitch, Sims, and Nerlens. We need to bring in somebody who can stretch the floor a little bit, give us a little bit more of a dynamic at that big position, because we're too stagnant, we're too limited, and we're not going to improve and go anywhere like that. We need to be this NBA has changed, and we kind of got to fit in with what they're doing these days. And if we want to win, we kind of got to, play the game the way it's being played. So, and I also hope that Tibbs becomes a little bit more flexible as a head coach and understands that he needs to acquiesce, take a back seat a little bit to some of his principles, improve them, tweak them, whatever you got to do, and be a little bit more flexible with his rotations and how he views the talent on our roster, because these guys got to play. If you got the time, you need to put the right players out there to get us playing winning basketball. Yeah, man. So thank you guys once again. As I always say, tell a friend who tells a friend who tells another friend. Still Knicks fans, we gonna be back again. Appreciate you guys. Like on your way out, man. If you haven't already hit that like button, definitely like the show. Appreciate you guys who have subscribed to continue to do so. We're trying to get to 700. So definitely, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already done so. Yo, H-Train, that's hilarious, bro. He said the Caribbean in me says Tibbs needs a roots bath. Y'all can Google it, man. That's funny. Yeah, Obi is that NBA change guy. I hope so. Well, Obi's nothing if Tibbs don't play him. So we'll see. Yeah, man. Thank you guys as always. It's been a pleasure. I will see you guys next time around. Will be Monday, so definitely tune in for that. And as I linked, put the I pinned it in the chat. Definitely, if you guys are interested in going to that draft party with Nothing But Knicks, it's in June in Atlantic City at the Flagship Hotel. Definitely click that link and figure out if that's something you want to do. You don't have to do. You can do just the night of the draft, or you can do the package where you do the night of the draft and you also do the lunch and podcast the day after. Yeah, so I appreciate you guys, man. Take care. See you on the next one. Let's go Knicks. Giants have drafted a bunch of players. Now I got to see who these guys are, what they actually did, what they picked up. And, we'll go from there, man. But thank you, guys. I'll see you on the next one. It's been a pleasure as always. Take care and be safe. Enjoy your Saturday, man. If you're on the East Coast, this weather is nice, man. Go out there and do something fun, man. Take the rest of the day and do something. Later, y'all.